Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us and welcome to Grand Ballroom, Grand Hyatt, Bali. For those of you who are attending this event virtually, we recommend that you use your headphone for a better sound quality. And for those of you who are arrived in this ballroom, please take your seats as the seating arrangement has been made. And we also kindly request
The organizing committee has provided this interpreting system with the channel as follows. Channel number 2 will be Bahasa Indonesia. Channel
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
number 5,
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi
channel number
wabarakatuh. Good
10
morning
will be
everybody.
Arabic.
I am Ulansari. I directly report from Grand Hyatt Bali, the first main hall convention of Doing Religion Forum of R20. Today is the first day of G20 Religion Forum, R20 International Summit of Religious. And now I'm in main hall of convention room at Grand Hyatt Bali. We are seeing for the activity of welcoming VVIP guests, which all of VVIP guests are entering the room now. And I guess today the total number of guests, delegates and invitees in attendance was around 460 person, with more than 40 speakers during the forum. With same main topics of R20 in Indonesia 20 and 22 are, there is a 5 main topics of R20. The first is identifying and embracing values shared by the world's major religions and civilization. The second is historical grievance, truth-telling, reconciliation, and forgiveness. And the third is what values do our perspective tradition need to relinquish to ensure that religion function as a source of genuine solution and not problems in the 21st century. And the fourth is what values do we need to develop to ensure peaceful coexistence and why. And the last main topics is spiritual ecology. And ladies and gentlemen, طيب اليوم هو اليوم الأول على حفلة برنامج R20 في فندق Grand Hyatt بالي. البرنامج سيبدأ بإنشاد النشيد إندونيسيا رايا وكذلك أداء الفني من بالي. الاستمرار بكلمات من KTT الرئيس لنهضة العلماء كالحاج يحيى Cholil Staquf وبعد ذلك يستمر به الكلمات من معالي الشيخ محمد بن عبد الكريم العيسى ومن رابطة العالم الإسلامي من مملكة السعودية العربية وكذلك بعد ذلك الكلمات من بين لدي رئيس العام كي حاج مفتاح الأحيار من Nahdlatul Ulama Indonesia. Bapak dan Ibu, para pemirsa PBNU dimanapun Anda berada, pada pagi hari ini saya melaporkan langsung dari ruang utama convention pelaksanaan R20 di Grand Hyatt Bali. Sebagaimana kita ketahui bersama, di belakang saya sedang berlangsung penyambutan para tamu VVIP, di mana pada pagi hari ini hari pertama pelaksanaan R20 dihadiri oleh 460 para tamu undangan dan juga sekaligus delegasi dari berbagai negara. Kurang lebih hadir pada forum R20 ini sejumlah 19 negara peserta dari G20 dan beberapa negara para pemimpin agama di dunia dari beberapa negara lainnya. Acara pada pagi hari ini akan dimulai dengan menyanyikan lagu Indonesia Raya, dilanjutkan dengan art performance dari Bali, penampilan kesenian dari Bali. Lalu akan dilanjutkan dengan sambutan dari Ketua Umum Pengurus Besar Nahdlatul Ulama, lalu sambutan dari Sekretaris Jenderal Muslim World League atau Robito Al-Alam Al-Islami, Syekh Muhammad Al-Isa. Dilanjutkan nanti dengan sambutan dari Rois Am Pengurus Besar Nahdlatul Ulama, dan juga akan ada penyampaian sambutan dari Presiden Republik Indonesia Bapak Joko Widodo. Demikian kami melaporkan dari main hall dari convention pelaksanaan R20 di Bali. Jangan lupa terus saksikan seluruh rangkaian kegiatan R20 hanya di kanal kesayangan kita televisi Nahdlatul Ulama.
And also to please kindly turn or switch your mobile phone to silent or vibrate mode. Once again, thank you for your attention and cooperation.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention please? The organizing committee of this forum has provided the interpreting system, which are channel number 2 for Bahasa Indonesia, channel number 5 for English, and channel number has provided the interpreting system, which are channel number 2 for Bahasa Indonesia, channel number 5 for English, and channel number 10 for Arabic.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, as the committee have prepared interpreting system for all of our delegates, channel number 2 for Bahasa Indonesia, channel number 5
For English,
and channel number
10
for
Arabic.
Arabic. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we commence with our event, once again, we are kindly request you to please be seated according to the seating arrangement that has been made. And we would like, once again, remind you that please switch your mobile phone to silent or vibrate mode as we will commence our event shortly.
Before coming up to the opening ceremony, let us begin the program this morning with a short video on safety induction briefing from Grand Hyatt Hotel, Nusa Dua, Bali.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Grand Ballroom Grand Hyatt Bali Nusa Dua. This is short safety briefing before start the event. Grand Hyatt Bali have assembly point in accordance with the emergency. Fire assembly point, earthquake assembly point, tsunami assembly point. Grand Hyatt Bali equipped with control devices, safety equipment and emergency response team that have been trained to face the emergency. Once you hear the evacuation announcement, please stay calm and do not panic. Immediately go to the nearest exit, and our team will assist you toward the assembly point. During a big shock and not possible to leave the building, immediately do drop, cover, and hold on. Make sure to keep protect you and people around by following the health protocols. For your information, that today we have no plan to do the emergency drill and exercise. Thank you, and have a good day.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we start our program with the national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Ladies and gentlemen, please kindly rise.
Please be seated. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Excellencies, ministers, heads of delegations, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Swastiastu, Shalom, Nama Budaya, may peace be upon us, greetings of virtue, and good morning.
His Excellency Dr. Haji Muhammad Yusuf Kalla, the 10th and the 12th Vice President of the Republic of Indonesia. His Excellency Sheikh Al-Izzat, Secretary General Muslim World League. His Excellency Mahmud Ende, Coordinating Minister for Political and Legal Security Affairs. His Excellency Muhajir Effendi, Coordinating Minister for Human Development and Culture of the Republic of Indonesia. His Excellency Yakut Cholil Komas, Minister of Religious Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia. His Excellency Erick Thohir, Minister of State-Owned Enterprise of Republic of Indonesia. Honorable Bapak Kiai Haji Miftahul Akhyar, Rais Am Syuriah of Nahdlatul Ulama Center Board. Honorable Kiai Haji Yahya Khalil Staquf, General Chairman of Nahdlatul Ulama. Honorable Wayan Koster, Governor of Bali Province. Excellencies, the ambassadors of friendly countries, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen.
It is such a great honor to welcome you to Bali, Indonesia, on the occasion of the Religion 20, an international movement for shared moral and spiritual values, taking themes, revealing and nurturing religion as a source of global solutions. So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we will commence our program by a dance performance or an art performance which comes from Nagro Aceh, Darussalam.
Wait.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is with proudly we present the art performance performed. Yeah. Please welcome Saman Dance from Nagro Aceh, Darussalam.
Karena salam Nabi kun sunan jarawat kamumarat selamat syarat mulia syarat mulia.
Alhamdulillah Nahdlatul Ulama yang berdiri tahun 1926 dan menjadi organisasi muslim terbesar di dunia, memiliki tujuan memelihara, melestarikan dan mengamalkan ajaran Islam Ahlus Sunnah wal Jamaah An-Nahdiyah, juga mengemban mandat peradaban dalam merintis tata dunia baru yang damai, menjunjung tinggi nilai-nilai budaya dan harkat serta martabat kemanusiaan. Berkolaborasi dengan Liga Muslim Dunia, sebuah organisasi Islam internasional non-pemerintah yang berbasis di Mekah Al-Mukarramah dan bekerja di bidang-bidang kemanusiaan dan perdamaian melalui pendidikan, dialog antar agama dan budaya, serta memperluas jembatan kerjasama dengan berbagai entitas Muslim dunia. Nahdlatul Ulama bersama The Muslim World League menggagas R20, sebuah forum keagamaan global pertama yang mempertemukan berbagai pemimpin agama di dunia untuk berdiskusi, menyuarakan keprihatinan atas isu-isu sosial, politik, agama berdasarkan nilai-nilai kemanusiaan dan moral keagamaan. Dengan mengangkat tema Revealing and Nurturing Religion as a Source of Global Solution and International Movement for Shared Moral and Spiritual Values, forum ini akan menjadi spirit baru untuk menjadikan agama sebagai sumber solusi global, menggerakkan pemimpin-pemimpin agama berperan aktif dan berkontribusi dalam membangun peradaban manusia yang lebih damai dan berkeadilan, serta berkesinambungan untuk kepentingan umat manusia secara menyeluruh.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed to our next program, may we kindly extend our gratitude and welcome to Honorable Dr. Shauki Ibrahim Alam, Grand Mufti of Egypt.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we move forward and we would like to once again inform you that we have an interpreter system Channel 2 for Bahasa Indonesia, Channel 5 for English, and Channel 10 for Arabic. As we will attend to the opening remark that will be delivered by Honorable Kiai Haji Yahya Cholil Staquf, General Chairman of Nahdlatul Ulama Central Board. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Honorable Kiai Haji Yahya Cholil Staquf.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah wa syukrulillah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadin ibn Abdullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. Honorable General Secretary of the Muslim World League, His Excellency Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al-Isa, Honorable General Chairman of the Nahdlatul Ulama Supreme Council, His Eminence Kiai Haji Miftahul Akhyar, Honorable Coordinating Minister of Politics, Law and Security Affairs of the Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Dr. Mahfud MD, Honorable Coordinating Minister of Human Development and Culture, His Excellency Dr. Muhajir Effendi, Honorable Grand Mufti of Egypt, His Eminence Sheikh Shawki Ibrahim Alam, Honorable Chairman of MBZ University of Humanities, His Excellency Dr. Hamdan Musallam, Honorable Vice President of Indonesia, the 8th and the 10th, His Excellency Dr. Yusuf Kala, Honorable President Andres Pastrana Arango of the Republic of Colombia, Honorable Minister of Religious Affairs, His Excellency Yakut Khalil Qaumas, Honorable delegates from Indian Hindu community, His Excellency Ram Madhav, Honorable Minister, State Minister of State-Owned Enterprise, His Excellency Erick Thohir, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished speakers and participants, on behalf of your Indonesian friends, the Nahdlatul Ulama, the Center for Shared Civilizational Values, I welcome you to Bali, Indonesia. Welcome to Bali, the land of Hindu and the largest Muslim majority country. Welcome to Bali, the land of Hindu that allows the most iconic art performance of the most Islamic colored culture of Aceh to perform in this honorable stage. Welcome to Bali, the Hindu land that allows the Nahdlatul Ulama, the largest Muslim organization, and the Muslim World League, the most important organization in Islamic world, to bring initiative here in this land with all religious leaders from all over the world. Welcome to Indonesia, the largest Muslim majority country that allows Bali to preserve its own unique Hindu culture, the largest Muslim majority country that allows a uniquely Hindu culture to flourish and cheered by all the people of Indonesia. This G20 Religion Forum, or R20, is an initiative comes from a sincere, good spiritual will of people of religion, from a sincere concern of all believers of religion about the future of humanity. We surely hope that this initiative can further take a place, an honorable and significant place in the global dynamic for the struggle of humanity to pursue solutions for its various kinds of problems in global dynamics. On behalf of the Nahdlatul Ulama, I want to express our utmost gratitude to the Muslim World League, and especially to His Excellency General Secretary Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al-Isa for the willingness to have a collaboration with the Nahdlatul Ulama to co-host this forum for all of you, our distinguished participants. May God's blessings, guidance, and helps always with us during all this event and afterwards, and our joint endeavor to contribute in a positive and constructive way for all humanity. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
To the General Chairman of Nahdlatul Ulama Central Board. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, for the next session, it is my pleasure to invite the Honorable Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Karim Al-Isa, Secretary General Muslim World League, to deliver his remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, can we have a big round of applause for the Honorable Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Karim Al-Isa.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا الهادي الأمين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. معالي الرئيس العام لنهضة العلماء فضيلة الشيخ حجي مفتاح الأخيار، معالي الرئيس التنفيذي العام للإدارة المركزية لنهضة العلماء فضيلة الشيخ يحيى خليل ثقوف، صاحب المعالي وزير الشؤون الإسلامية معالي السيد يوسف كالا، أصحاب النيافة والفضيلة، أصحاب المعالي الوزراء والسعادة، السيدات والسادة، أسعد هذا اليوم باسم رابطة العالم الإسلامي وباسم هيئاتها ومجامعها ومجالسها العالمية أن نكون معكم في هذا الجمع التاريخي المهم، والذي يجمع قادة دينيين بارزين لإطلاق مبادرة عالمية في إطار قمة G20، وهي منصة R20، والتي اعتمدتها بحمد الله رئاسة R20 في هذا العام لتصبح مجموعة تواصل لأتباع الأديان هي الأولى من نوعها في تاريخ G20، مقدرين تقديراً عالياً لفخامة رئيس الجمهورية لدعمه ورعايته وتبنيه هذه المبادرة التي ستلقي بالمزيد من المسؤولية على القادة الدينيين، كما أنها ستحملنا في رابطة العالم الإسلامي ونهضة العلماء مسؤولية خاصة بوصفنا المؤسسين لمنصة R20 في إطار دعم رئاسة G20 لهذا العام. نستشعر هذه المسؤولية لنستذكر أن كثيراً من المتاعب والمآسي عبر طول وعرض التاريخ الإنساني كانت نتيجة أسباب محسوبة في ظاهرها على الأديان، وذلك بفعل الافتراء على تعاليم الأديان الداعية في أصلها إلى سلام عالمنا ووئام مجتمعاته الوطنية. بل إن الصدام والصراع بين أتباع الحضارات قديماً وحديثاً يعود في كثير من أسبابه إلى جذور محسوبة في ظاهرها على الأديان، وكذلك التحديات التي تواجه ضرورة التعايش والوئام في مجتمعات التنوع الوطني، نجد عددا منها يعود إلى مفاهيم دينية خاصة، ولا سيما الاعتقاد الخاطئ بأن الهوية الدينية تتعارض مع الهويات الوطنية، ولا سيما في بلدان التنوع الديني، وعلى الأخص لدى الأقليات الدينية أيا كانت هوياتها الدينية. وهذا كله هو ما حمل بعض النقاد إلى المجازفة بالقول بأن الأديان تظل هي المشكلة الأكبر في الصراع الإنساني قديما وحديثا، ولا شك أنها مجازفة خاطئة خرجت عن سياق التحليل السليم لأسباب تلكم المصادمات وتلكم المفاهيم. ونؤكد بأننا نحن المسلمين نؤكد يقينا وبنصوص دينية واضحة بأن الإسلام يرفض رفضا قاطعا صدام وصراع الحضارات، بل هو داع إلى سلوك جادة الحكمة مع الآخرين أيا كانوا، بل هو داع إلى تحالف الحضارات. والشاهد الإسلامي في هذا من النصوص ومن أيضا الامتداد التاريخي ظاهر أمام الجميع بمنطق التحليل السليم. بل إن الإسلام داع وفي نصوص واضحة إلى تأليف قلوب الجميع والإحسان إلى الجميع، بل وتحمل ما قد يصدر عن بعضهم من جهل وأذى. يقول الله جل وعلا: خذ العفو وأمر بالعرف وأعرض عن الجاهلين. آية صريحة: خذ العفو وأمر بالعرف وأعرض عن الجاهلين. سمو أخلاقي وتسامح ديني، بل وسماحة دينية. أعطى الإسلام أمثلة عملية في القيم الإنسانية تجاوزت مجرد التنظير، ومن هذا المنطلق قال نبينا صلى الله عليه وسلم: إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق، وفي رواية صالح الأخلاق. وقال عليه الصلاة والسلام عن حلف الفضول، وهو حلف لقريش، وهذا الحلف كان يستدعي العدالة، قيم العدالة، مبادئ العدالة، فحفل به الإسلام وقدره الإسلام. بينما كان هذا الحلف قبل مجيء الإسلام، قبل الرسالة النبوية، قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: لو دعيت به في الإسلام لأجبت. إنها القيم المشتركة التي نحفل بها في دين الإسلام. دعا الإسلام إلى الحكمة مع الجميع، وحفز على هذه الصفة الوازنة في تكامل الشخصية الدينية. فقال الله جل وعلا: يؤتي الحكمة من يشاء، ومن يؤت الحكمة فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا، وما يذكر إلا أولو الألباب. ووصف الحكمة مليء بالمعاني الضافية، ومن الحكمة أن نتجاوز التحدث عن الأماني والنظريات والأطروحات العابرة إلى الأعمال والمبادرات. ولذلك نسعد في منبر هذه المنصة بأن نطلق مبادرة بناء الجسور بين الشرق والغرب من أجل عالم أكثر تفاهماً وسلاماً ومجتمعات أكثر تعايشاً ووئاماً. نحفل بهذه المنصة من أجل محاور عدة، ومن هذه المحاور هذه المبادرة والتي تجمع التنوع الإنساني، التنوع الديني، التنوع الحضاري على مائدة الإخاء الإنساني. هذا التنوع هو سنة حتمية أرادها الخالق جل وعلا بحكمته في هذا الكون، ولا يصادم هذه الحكمة بقول أو فعل سلبي إلا من لم يستوعبها أو صادم إرادة الخالق. ولهذا نسعد كثيرا باللقاء بإخواننا من أتباع الأديان والثقافات من أجل أن نعمل معا على أهدافنا المشتركة المنطلقة من قيمنا المشتركة، وهي كثيرة جدا. بعض هذه القيم المشتركة كاف في إحلال السلام في عالمنا والوئام في مجتمعاتنا الوطنية، وكاف لتعزيز الصداقة والتعاون بل والتحالف بين الأمم والشعوب من أجل صالح الجميع. ونحن في عالمنا اليوم أحوج ما نكون إلى جانب عملي، وهو بناء الجسور من خلال المبادرات والبرامج الفاعلة والمؤثرة التي تتجاوز شتات ومعادة ومكرر الحوارات، والتي لها سنين عددا لا تزال تراوح مكانها، لم تصل إلى أهدافها. ودون أيضا أن تحقق منجزا يمكن أن يوصف بأنه منجز وازن مفيد لعالمنا. وهذه المبادرة تعمل على عقد تحالف حضاري بين الجميع، تركز على قاعدة راسخة وقوية، وهي قاعدة المشتركات الدينية والإنسانية التي أشرنا إليها. الحضور الكريم، أعطتنا عظات التاريخ دروسا مليئة بالتأمل، تحدث أهل العقول عن عبثية الصدام والصراع بين أتباع الأديان وأتباع الحضارات، تحدثنا عن صراعات حسبت زورا وكذبا على الأديان، حسبت على حضارات متميزة أثرت الإنسانية، غير أن ذلك بفعل بعض أتباع تلك الأديان وأتباع تلك الحضارات، لبسوها هوية الأديان وهوية الحضارات غير أنها منها براء. فجاء ما قد يحصل من البعض على امتداد تاريخ الأديان من أجل فرض الأديان أو الأفكار أو حتى السياسات أو افتراس الدول والشعوب. والأول شأن الغلو الديني، التطرف الديني، والثاني والثالث شأن الدول الاستعمارية التي انهزمت في نهاية مطافها مخلفة سمعة سيئة لتاريخ هذه الدول، وقد مضى ذلكم التاريخ محسوبا على سجل تلك الدول في خانة القيم والأخلاق. وأما الرابع فهو شأن المغالبة، غالب ومغلوب، وذلك لمطامع مادية لا تعرف إلا شريعة الغاب، لا تعرف قيما لا دينية ولا حضارية، لا تعرف قيما إنسانية، ولا تعرف في ذلك إلا سبيل المغالبة، سبيل أخذ ما تريده من مطامع مادية بحتة بالقوة، بسلطة القوة. وقد دلت عبر التاريخ أن من توهم الانتصار من خلال العسف والقوة فهو في نكد من حياته. نعم، عظات التاريخ شاهدة على ذلك، وسوف يلاحق هذا المتعسف، هذا الظالم، سوف يلاحقه عار السطو الشائن على غيره حتى يعاد الحق إلى أهله، كبر أم صغر ذلك الحق. ونحن نؤمن جميعا بأن أصل الخلق البشر جاء من الروح، وهي روح الله جل وعلا، كما أنه سبحانه خلق آدم على صورته دون أن نشبه الخالق بالمخلوق، وآدم هو أبونا. ولكن ماذا يعني هذا؟ هذا يعني أن الإنسان مكرم فله قدسية تتعلق بطبيعة الروح وبخاصية صورة الخلق التي تميز بها الإنسان عن سائر المخلوقات. وهذا التميز له التزام حتمي، له التزام تلقائي، التزام أشبه بالضريبة التي لا بد أن ندفعها، ولكنها ضريبة إيمانية أخلاقية. ومن ذلك أن الإنسان لا بد أن يحترم، فالإنسان عليه أن يحترم أخاه الإنسان، أخاه المكرم بخاصية الروح والخلق، والمكرم بنعمة الله عليه كإنسان. هذا التكريم له قيمة وازنة في الخلق البشري، غير أنها من قبل بعض الخلق مع بالغ الأسف لا تحظى باحترام في ظل غياب الوعي، في ظل همجية حسبت على الإنسانية، غير أن من يتحمل ذلك هي أيضا منصات مهمة كان على عالمنا أن يتنبه لها، وتبدأ بالأسرة ثم التعليم ثم منصات التأثير على تنوعها. وذلك أن صياغة عقل الإنسان نحو التفكير السليم تبدأ من طفولته، وهي تمثل الإجراء الوقائي. أما تصحيح الأخطاء وتصحيح المفاهيم فهي إجراءات علاجية، ولكننا نريد أن نقضي على ذلك في المهد بصياغة عقلية سليمة. فمن أخطأ ومن تعسف بل ومن ظلم عمدا لك أن تسأله سؤالين. السؤال الأول: من علمك هذا؟ ثانيا: ماذا تريد وماذا تهدف لتحصل على أمرين؟ الأمر الأول توصيف هذه الحالة، والأمر الثاني علاج هذه الحالة. الحضور الكريم، يبتعد عالمنا كما ترون عن بعض، وعندما يبتعد عن بعض تتشكل نتيجة ذلك منطقة فراغ تنشأ عنها الأفكار والتأويلات السلبية، لينتج ذلك قناعات وقرارات قد تكون أحياناً في غاية الخطورة والتعقيد. عندما أقول يبتعد عن بعض أتحدث عن تحالفه الأخلاقي والإنساني، وفي سياق ذلك التحالف الديني وفق القيم الدينية والإنسانية والأخلاقية المشتركة. هناك تحالف، هناك تقارب في الظاهر، غير أننا ننشد المحتوى والمضمون والأثر. والحوارات الحكيمة والنيات والوعود الصادقة لا تحول دون نشوب صراعات فقط. هذه الحوارات الفاعلة الملموسة الأثر لا تحول دون نشوب الصراعات والصدامات بين أتباع الأديان والثقافات والحضارات، بل ينشأ عنها وضوح وتفاهم وقناعات ومحبة وعمل مشترك. ومع هذا فلا بد في ذلك كله من قدر لازم من السماحة والتسامح. عندما أفرق بين السماحة والتسامح، السماحة هي العفو والصفح والتغاضي عن الآخرين دون مقابل، دون أن تنتظر مقابلا. ولذلك الترجمة السليمة لها forgiveness وليست tolerance. أما التسامح وهو التفاعل، تطلب منه ويطلب منك أن تتنازل، فهو tolerance لا بأس، ولكن القيمة العليا هي السماحة، ألا تنتظر من الآخر أي مقابل، لأن نفسك عالية سامية، تتغاضى تتسامح، ترجو الخير للجميع من خلال ذلكم الخلق، لأنك لا تنظر لتلك الحالة بعينها قضية عين فقط، بل تنظر إلى أبعاد ذلك على الجميع، تنظر إلى رسم أفكار، إلى رسم منهج يستفيد منه الآخرون. وغياب السماحة والتسامح، فنحن طبعا نؤيد الجميع السماحة والتسامح، غير أن السمو هو في السماحة. غياب ذلك يعني الشد المتبادل، وربما غذى هذا كله الغرور والتحدي، ويدفعه إلى مزيد من التعنت، البعد الحقيقي عن بعض وليس البعد الشكلي. البعض يقول هناك حوارات، هناك لقاءات، لكنها شكلية، ولهذا جاءت مبادرة بناء الجسور بفعاليات وبرامج سيتم إطلاقها حول العالم، وتستهدف على وجه الخصوص الشباب، وأيضا تعتني عناية خاصة بالأسرة وبالتعليم. أعود لأقول، وهذا أمر مهم، مهما تكن الخلافات فما من خلاف إلا وله حل في سجل المراجعة والحكمة والنيات الطيبة والقلوب الصادقة. ومهما تكن الذرائع فإنها لا بد أن تعالج وتصل إلى كلمة سواء تمثل قناعة للجميع بالقدر اللازم للقناعة، مع ما ذكرنا قبل قليل من أهمية السماحة والتسامح. وفي هذا نتساءل، ما هو الدور الذي لا بد أن يقوم به المؤمنون بالأديان في الصراعات المعاصرة، وتحديداً ماذا عن دورهم في صناعة السلام؟ لا شك أن للقادة الدينيين تأثيراً مهماً وكبيراً على أتباعهم بسبب قوتهم الروحية التي تستند على مصدر تلك الأديان التي تعتقدها بحسب كل دين، مصدر خطابهم وهو الدين، إذ يؤمن أتباع الأديان على اختلاف معتقداتهم بأن مصدر الدين هو مصدر مقدس ومعصوم. ومن هنا جاءت أهمية القيادات الدينية وتأثيرهم الروحي على الجميع. ولكن بعض أتباع الأديان بسبب تفسيراتهم المتطرفة أو بسبب مجازفات أخطائهم على حسن الظن أو بسبب قادتهم المتطرفين كثيرا ما جعلوا هذه القوة الفاعلة بل والقوة الناعمة قوة لا يمكن ضبطها أو لا يمكن الثقة بها لدى تحليل من فسر هذه الأديان تفسيرا مجازفا، بحيث حمل أصل الأديان مسؤولية تلك المجازفات. ولهذا ننشد الحوارات الفاعلة، لا حوارات المجاملات، الحوارات التي تستدعي كل قضية على طاولة البحث والمناظرة دون أن تجامل في ذلك. فكثيرا ما جاءت تلك الحوارات وانتهت إلى إرشيفها دون عودة. ننشد المصارحة والبحث في كل أمر من شأنه أن يقضي على تلك الأخطاء والمفاهيم وينشر الوعي ويعزز الثقة المتبادلة بين الجميع. وقد تكون هناك تفسيرات خاطئة، قد تكون هناك مفاهيم خاطئة، أعراف وثقافات خاطئة توضح، والحكيم الصادق يكون منصفاً مع نفسه قبل أن يطلب من غيره أن يكون منصفاً. عالمنا كما يعلم الجميع تألم عبر تاريخه الطويل من مرارة الصراع بين أتباع الأديان والثقافات، كما تألم من تعمق الانقسامات التي تجاهلت الكثير من المشتركات الإنسانية والدينية، والتي لا بد أن تكون حاضرة وأن يعيها الجميع. ولهذا في مؤتمر الرياض قبل بضعة أشهر كان هناك لقاء أخوي بين مختلف أتباع الأديان، وكان عنوان هذا المؤتمر الدولي والمهم المشتركات الدينية. ثم انتهى إلى إعلان الرياض والذي أخذ عنوانا أوسع تدخل فيه المشتركات الدينية وهو المشتركات الإنسانية، وأوصى بأن يصدر عن التجمع والتنوع الديني والثقافي معلمة موسوعة للقيم الإنسانية المشتركة، وإنشاء منتدى الدبلوماسية الدينية من أجل السلام. أقول وقبل أن أختتم بأن الدين، وهذا الخطاب للعموم حول العالم، بأن الدين ليس مشكلة في أصله كما يحاول بعضهم أن يصوره للجميع، وإنما المشكلة في فهم الدين، والمشكلة أيضا في توظيفه وتحريف أهدافه لمصالح غير أخلاقية على اختلاف هذه المصالح في رغباتها دون أن ندخل في تفصيلاتها. ولهذا وجب علينا كقادة دينيين متضامنين في إطار تلكم المشتركات أن نبرئ مفاهيمنا الدينية الداعية للسلام بحسب قناعاتنا ويقيننا، وأن نبرئ أيضا القيم الإنسانية المشتركة والتي عمومها لها جذور دينية، أن نبرئ ذلك كله من تلك الأفكار الخاطئة ومن المجازفات، ولن يكون ذلك إلا من خلال أفعالنا قبل أقوالنا، ومن خلال أعمال وازنة لها أثر على أرض الواقع. لا أحب أن أطيل، فللمؤتمر محاور وله علماء كبار وله مفكرون أيضا كبار سيضفون بإذن الله عز وجل على تلكم المحاور المزيد والمزيد من الطرح الديني والفكري والأخلاقي. أشكر للجميع الحضور متمنيا للجميع التوفيق والنجاح، والسلام عليكم.
We have another big round of applause for Secretary General Muslim World League, the Honorable Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Karim Al-Isha, and thank you so much for your remark.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, now we would kindly invite the Honorable Kiai Haji Miftahul Akhyar, Rais Am Syuriah Nahdlatul Ulama, the Chairman of Supreme Council of Nahdlatul Ulama Center Board, to present his speech followed by prayers. Kami mohon kepada Bapak Al-Mukarram Bapak Kiai Haji Miftahul Akhyar untuk menyampaikan kata sambutannya, dilanjutkan dengan memimpin pembacaan doa.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hamdan liman qala biyadi zimamul umur wa yasrifu ala an-nahwi alladhi yuriduh fa huwal fa'alu lima yurid. Idza arada amran fa innama yaqulu kun fayakun. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Wa kanat af'aluhu uyunul hikmah. Wassalatu wassalamu ala an-nabil arabi al-ummi afsah man nataqa bid-dad Sayyidina Muhammadin wa abduhu wa rasuluh wa ala alihi wa ashabihi masabihul huda wa alamun najah wa ala man naha nahwahum waqtada biyudahum, amma ba'd. Hadaratil afadil, ma'alil amin al-am li rabitatil alam al-islami, Raisu Hay'ah Ulama Muslimin Al-Syekh Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al-Isha, Yang mulia Bapak Yusuf Kalla, tokoh nasional yang cerdas, para pemimpin lembaga negara tinggi yang hadir dari jajaran para Menteri Kabinet Indonesia Maju, ada Profesor Dr. Bapak Mahfud MD, ada juga Bapak Menteri Agama, Bapak Menteri BUMN, agak silau, dan beberapa menteri Kabinet Maju yang kami muliakan. Ayyuhal khudur al-kiram, ahlan wa sahlan wa marhaban bikum jami'an. Bi Bali, bi Indonesia, baldah kabirah, yata'allafu sukkanuha min alafil qabail al-mukhtalifatil a'raq. Wa yatakallamuna bimi'atin minal lughat al-mutanawwi'al al-lahajat. Wa ma'a dhalik aishuhum fi salamin wa amanin fi itari hadat tanawwu. Al-Mukarram Mufti Diyar Al-Misriyah Syekh Syauqi Ibrahim Abdul Karim Alam, alhamdulillah nashkurukum bihudurikum. Syukran jazilan lakum ala isti'dadikum lil hudur wal musyarakah fi hadal muntada ad-duwali. Muntada ad-din ishrun asasiyah wa da'al khuluq wal khilqah. Wa adab suluk haitsu yumkinuna ijra'u munaqasatin jaddah wa intaju urudil khulul al-qa'imah ala qiyam ad-diniyah wal qiyam al-insaniyah li masyakil mukhtalifah alamiyah allati tajtajul alam wa idmanul muntadi hadal muntada sama al-aswad ad-diniyah allati la ghina an dawriha fi juhudil ighatha al-alamiyah. Hayatul jam'iyah linahdatil ulama wa rabitatul alam al-islami bisifatihim mudhaifan li hadal muntada ad-duwali. Ladaihim amalun kabirah lakum jami'a kaqadati diniyin alamiyin litaqdimil qiyamid diniyah kahullin alami lisira'ah al-alamiyah walijali hadil qiyam an-nabilah ladal adyan ka'asasin libina'i hadarah alamiyah jadidah hadaratin taqumu ala asasil ikhtiramil huquq al-mutasawiyah wal karama bainal akharin. Kianil hadara an-nabi'ah minal qiyamin nabilah lid-din. Ad-din rabi'un wa yambu yaski sahibahu wa man hawlah. Haitsu yanmu kullul bashar niqa'ar ruh wa isyaratan ila amtilah allati kutibat ijabatuha ilal abad fi jamil kutub al-muqaddasah kitabu khululin lil adid minal azmat al-insaniyah al-hadisah azmatun bisababi taqwiyati ananiyah talibir rai ad-diniyin. Nahdlatul ulama ulaika alladziina yu'rifuna an anfusihim ala annahum min a'dha'il hay'ah li jam'iyati nahdlatil ulama alladziina yasiluna ila 150 milyun shakhsan yakni akthar min 55% min ijmali sukkani Indonesia. Tamtaliku nahdlatul ulama imkanatin hailah li khalqi siyasatin laysat alal waraqi faqat bal quwwah fi'liyah amaliyah. Nahdlatul Ulama ladaiha al-qudrah ala wad'i siyasah yastajibu laha mi'atul malayin minan nas wa yutabi'unaha. Hadza nuqaddimu bi khalisil imtinan khususan ila al-amin al-am li Rabitatil Alam al-Islami ma'ali Syekh Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al-Isa aktsarallah amsalah. Hadza wasmahu lana jami'an wal afwa minkum wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Al-Fatihah. A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki yaumiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Shiratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghairil maghdubi 'alaihim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya' wal mursalin. Sayyidina Maulana Muhammadin khatamin nabiyyin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa alim jema'in. Allahumma ya Allah ukhsuna bi annika lati la tanam wa knufna bika nafika alladhi la yuram warhamna bika fal nuhlak anta waliyuna anta nasiru anta malja'una kam min ni'matin an'amta alaina qalla inda bi syukruna wa kam min baliyatin ibtalaitana qala bida sabruna wa ya man inda ni'mati qala inda syukrina falam yahrumna wa ya man inda baliyati qala inda sabrina falam yahdhulna wa ya man idza ra'ana khati'at wal masi wal munkar walam yafdhahna antu salli ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi washabihi. Allahumma ya Allah inna nas'aluka imanan la yartad wa na'iman la yanfad wa qurratan la tanqati wa Muhammadin sallallahu alaihi wasallam fi ala jinanil khuld. Allahumma la takilna ila nafsina tarfatain wa la tanzi' minna salihan ma utaitana ya karim ya karim ya karim antal hadi la tirku zuhdir wa rasyad sam ba'dad. Allahumma jal istima'an hadaya istima'an muntada ad-dini al-akhlaqi ya Allah li hali muskilatil ummah akrim bihim ya Allah birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin waj'al istima'ana hada istima'an kathiran binikmatik istima'an fihi afuka ya Allah wa ata'uk birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin waj'al tafakkurana min ba'di tafarruqan ma'suma mahsuna birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanah wa qina adzabannar. Wa sallallahu alaihi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sallam walhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much indeed for Al-Mukarram Bapak Kiai Haji Miftahul Akhyar for the speech and
ladies and gentlemen, with the greatest pleasure and honor, we would have a keynote speech video presentation from His Excellencies Joko Widodo, the President of the Republic of Indonesia.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Yang saya hormati, yang mulia Sekretaris Jenderal Liga Muslim Dunia, Syekh Dr. Muhammad bin Abdul Karim Al-Isa, yang mulia Grand Mufti Mesir, Syekh Sauki Ibrahim Alam, yang mulia Presiden Sentris Demokrat Internasional dan mantan Presiden Kolombia, Bapak Andres Pastrana Arango, yang mulia Rais Am PBNU, Kiai Haji Miftahul Ahyar, yang saya hormati Ketua Umum PBNU, Bapak Kiai Haji Yahya Cholil Staquf, para Menteri Kabinet Indonesia Maju, hadirin dan undangan yang berbahagia. Pertama-tama atas nama pemerintah dan masyarakat Indonesia, saya menyampaikan selamat datang di Indonesia. Selamat datang di negara yang terdiri dari 17.000 pulau dengan 3 zona waktu yang berbeda, berpenduduk lebih dari 275 juta jiwa, terdiri dari atas 714 suku dan lebih dari 1.100 bahasa lokal yang memeluk 6 agama yang berbeda. Indonesia adalah negara yang sangat majemuk dalam suku, bahasa, dan agama. Tetapi kami dipersatukan oleh ideologi negara yaitu Pancasila. Kami dipersatukan oleh toleransi dan persatuan, yaitu Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, Unity in Diversity. Bapak Ibu yang saya hormati, tokoh-tokoh agama yang berbeda telah menjadi bagian utama dari perjuangan kemerdekaan Indonesia yang diraih di tahun 1945. Tokoh-tokoh agama yang berbeda juga menjadi bagian utama untuk mempersatukan Indonesia. Bahkan tokoh-tokoh agama yang berbeda juga menjadi bagian penting untuk mensukseskan program-program pembangunan pemerintah. Keberhasilan yang dicapai Indonesia saat ini termasuk dalam menangani pandemi COVID-19 juga berkat kontribusi tokoh-tokoh agama. Masjid, gereja, pura, vihara, dan kelenteng telah menjadi pusat literasi masyarakat di berbagai bidang. Gotong royong lintas pemeluk agama juga menjadi kebanggaan Indonesia. Kehadiran Bapak dan Ibu di forum Religion 20 ini sangat membanggakan kami. Indonesia ingin belajar dari Bapak Ibu sekalian yang hadir dari berbagai negara. Kami rakyat Indonesia juga siap berbagi pengetahuan dan pengalaman. Yang juga sangat penting adalah kita, tokoh agama dari berbagai agama dan dari berbagai negara harus bekerja sama untuk meningkatkan kontribusi agama dalam menyelesaikan masalah-masalah dunia, untuk mengurangi rivalitas dan menghentikan perang, demi dunia yang damai, dunia yang bersatu, dunia yang bekerja sama untuk mewariskan kebaikan bagi generasi mendatang. Sekali lagi, terima kasih atas kehadiran Bapak Ibu di Indonesia. Selamat mengikuti konferensi R20. Semoga berhasil membangun kesepahaman dan kesepakatan serta menyepakati langkah-langkah konkret agar agama berkontribusi lebih besar untuk peradaban dan untuk kemanusiaan serta demi dunia yang lebih membahagiakan untuk semuanya. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Om Santi 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 Om. Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you and Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Now we move forward to remark the official opening of this event. Therefore, we would like to invite several prominent figures to come up on the stage to beat the tambourine or the bana. The first one is His Excellency Professor Haji Muhammad Yusuf.
Okay, ladies, gentlemen, excellencies, distinguished guests, let's count together from 1 to 3 to mark the opening of G20 Religion Forum. 1, 2, 3! Can we have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations for the opening ceremony of G20 Religion Forum in Bali, Indonesia, 2022. So, excellencies, please remain on stage. We are gonna do a photo session we will invite another delegates to join on stage.
Ladies and gentlemen, may we have your attention, please? We would name the names of the delegates. Please remain on the stage.
So we will have two photo sessions. We will have the first photo session right now, and then we will be followed by another photo session who will invite another delegates to please join on stage.
Now we would have the first photo session on the stage with 12. Please, one step forward to have a group photo of this first session. And now we would like to invite the 29 delegates from Argentina, Rabbi Silvina Chemet, Reverend Professor Michael Trainer from Australia, Professor Alexander Brazil Fonseca from Brazil, next Professor Janet Buckingham from Canada, Dr. Xiaowan Li from China, Reverend Christian Krieger from France to come up on the stage to have photo session, to have the second photo session. Bishop Thomas Kriemaker from Germany, Swami Govinda Dev from India, Dr. Valeria Martano from Italy, Imam Yahya Palafacini, also from Italy, retired Reverend Yoshinobu Miyake from Japan, Dr. Marcela Zimariski from Mexico, Bishop Pitirim from Russia, His Excellency Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Karim Al-Isa from Saudi Arabia, Reverend Hermie Damans from South Africa, Your Eminence Professor Ahmed Kuru from Turkey, Archbishop Arba Angeleos from United Kingdom, Rabbi Professor Alan Brill from United States, Dr. Jacqueline Rivers from United States, Albert Sabir, also from United States, Han Fichel from European Union, Jan Fichel from European Union, His Holiness Samdech Priya Mahasangharaja Kri, I should say His Holiness Samdech Priya Mahasangharaja Bur Kri from Cambodia, His Excellency Mr. Kouadia Bene Badela from Morocco, Sheikh Aliyah Syukur Pasahazada Azerbaijan, Sheikh Abdullah bin Al-Mahfud bin Bayah from UEA, Sheikh Al-Mahfud bin Bayah from UEA, Dr. Hamdan Al-Mashkuri from UEA, Dr. Ibrahim Mahmud Negm from Egypt, Dr. Shauki Ibrahim Alam from Egypt, and Archbishop Henry Dukuba from Nigeria. Please have a formation on the stage to have photo session, photo groups on the stage. Honorable Apostolic Papal Nuncio from Rome. Yeah, please join on the stage with all delegates to have photo session.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, so this is the second group photo, and
Yeah.
can we also have a big round of applause for the G20 Religion Forum is officially open. We are kindly request all of the honorable guests on stage to hold your hand together, and please raise your hand together on behalf of the G20 Religion Forum, and raise your hand together. Another big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen, for Religion Forum, revealing and nurturing religion as a source of global solutions in Grand Hyatt Bali 2022. Thank you so much to our honorable guests, excellencies, and also head of delegates from R20. You may return to your seats. Thank you so much. Can we have another big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, to conduct the whole series of inauguration events for this opening or inauguration of Religion 20, with the theme of International Movement for Shared Moral and Spiritual Values, and the theme of Revealing and Nurturing Religion as a Source of Global Solutions, which was just recently inaugurated. Moreover, we still have the series of events and also the next session of events. We hope that all of our invitees will be taking part for the special session. Will be guided by Munyati Sulam. We will commence the session at 11 a.m. So we are hoping to see you again at 11 a.m. in the same ballroom. Once again, thank you so much. My name is Ferdi Hasan.
And Munyati Sulam.
Congratulations for the opening inauguration of R20. Hope to have a really good session for the next 2 days. Thank you so much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Wabil taufiq walhidayah. Selamat siang dan sampai jumpa.
Ya, wallahu muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Kindly extend our gratitude for your presence and attention.
Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give the floor to Miss Rebecca Supriya Shah from Divya Shanti Association to the second plenary session.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. I'm going to ask you to please find your seat or any seat and sit down. We are about to begin. Welcome to this afternoon's plenary session, which is entitled Identifying and Embracing Values Shared by the World's Major Religions and Civilizations. There has been a slight change of plan due to a pressing engagement. The Minister of Religious Affairs has to go first, and therefore he will present first, and our keynote speaker, Professor Marianne Glendon, will present after him. So if you could all sit down, I will begin. The Honorable Yakut Cholil Kumas is the Republic of Indonesia's Minister of Religious Affairs. He is also former chairman of Gerakan Pemuda Ansor, the world's largest young adults organization, and a primary vehicle for the grassroots mobilization of Nahdlatul Ulama's tens of millions of followers. All Ansor members belong to Barisan Ansor Serabang Guna Nahdlatul Ulama, or Banser, an active militia force. During his tenure as chairman, 2015 to 2020, the Honorable Minister gained renown as a guardian of Indonesia's unique brand of inclusive, multi-religious, and multi-ethnic nationalism. Minister Kumas is also co-founder of Humanitarian Islam and the Center for Shared Civilizational Values, which serves as the R20 Permanent Secretariat. I welcome you, sir.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, Rahayu. Kenalkan, salam ini salam khas Indonesia yang berasal dari 6 agama besar yang ada di sini. First of all, I'd like to introduce you that those greetings are typical greetings from the 6 religions in Indonesia. Para hadirin yang berbahagia, saya ingin membuka pidato saya dengan sebuah metafora yang dikemukakan oleh seorang pemikir sosial, Zygmunt Bauman, pada tahun 1996. Bauman menulis sebuah metafora bahwa globalisasi itu menghasilkan 2 jenis kelompok manusia dengan nasib yang sama sekali berbeda, yaitu turis dan gelandangan. Keduanya sama-sama bergerak, bermigrasi dalam globalisasi, tetapi dalam pengalaman yang sama sekali berbeda, bahkan bertentangan. Wisatawan adalah analogi untuk orang kaya yang mengalami globalisasi sebagai libur yang menyenangkan. Sedangkan gelandangan adalah kaum miskin yang terlunta dalam globalisasi seperti para pengungsi dan pekerja migran. Mereka mengalami globalisasi dalam keadaan serba rawan dan serba rentan. Globalisasi adalah kekuatan transformatif yang mendorong perubahan mendasar dan struktural di bidang sosial, ekonomi, politik, budaya, ekologi, dan militer. Ia menginterupsi hubungan internal dan eksternal tiap bangsa secara besar-besaran. Namun ia juga adalah sebuah proses sejarah yang dinamis dan terbuka, membelah manusia dan komunitasnya dengan penuh kontradiksi dan paradoks. Ini adalah serangkaian proses yang menghasilkan bentuk-bentuk baru hubungan kekuasaan di tingkat global dan lokal yang pada gilirannya menyebabkan stratifikasi baru dan pengucilan terhadap orang-orang di berbagai sektor sosial. Globalisasi diam-diam telah merekonstruksi pola inklusi dan eksklusi tradisional di antara negara-negara dengan membentuk hierarki baru di semua masyarakat dan wilayah dunia, antara utara dan selatan, dunia pertama dan dunia ketiga, orang kaya dan orang miskin. Semua terjalin secara paradoks dalam persamaan kultural, sekaligus perbedaan jurang ekonomi sosial.
Terima kasih.
Perbedaan ini juga jangan-jangan berlaku bagi kita semua yang hari ini hadir mewakili negara masing-masing. Forum suprastate semacam ini adalah tempat yang baik. Namun ia tetap tidak mungkin menghapuskan perbedaan-perbedaan dari warga atau umat kita masing-masing yang suaranya kita wakili di sini. Politik global mengubah fondasi tatanan lokal, tatanan nasional, regional, dan dunia. Salah satunya adalah homogenisasi budaya. Homogenisasi dalam kebudayaan bisa berarti eksterminasi dan kekerasan simbolik. Ia menghapuskan jejak identitas dari suatu masyarakat dan budaya lokal yang sebelumnya eksis, baik itu adatnya, makanannya, sistem politiknya, dan simbol-simbol kebudayaan lainnya. Dengan itu, globalisasi mengundang balik respon dan tantangan yang seringkali juga keras. Politik identitas yang muncul di Amerika Latin dan Afrika misalnya adalah respon yang bermaksud menyuarakan identitas mereka yang dipinggirkan oleh globalisasi. Pada sisi yang lebih ekstrim, sebagian gerakan fundamentalisme agama juga muncul sedikit banyak sebagai respon dari keruntuhan negara bangsa di kawasan Persia dan homogenisasi yang dilahirkan oleh globalisasi. Proses global yang intensif ini tidak hanya menggeser warga dari peta tradisional geopolitik dunia, tetapi juga menghancurkan sentralitas yang telah diduduki oleh negara. Ia menunjukkan bahwa penyesuaian yang signifikan dengan persyaratan politik yang baru diperlukan untuk menopang hidup negara bangsa agar tetap relevan. Inilah globalisasi dalam kisah yang pertama. Hadirin yang saya hormati, apa yang saya sajikan dalam kisah pertama globalisasi adalah globalisasi yang paradoksal. Ia mengintegrasikan kita dalam kultur global, tapi sekaligus dengan itu ia justru membelah dan membangun stratifikasi baru yang mengakibatkan banyak kaum miskin di berbagai negara yang ekonominya lemah makin menderita. Globalisasi dalam kisah ini boleh diibaratkan selaksa gelombang pasang yang memporak-porandakan identitas dan pendirian-pendirian dasar, bukan hanya bagi negara bangsa, tetapi juga bagi kemanusiaan universal serta religiusitas. Namun untungnya bagi kita cerita tidak sampai di sini. Sejak setidaknya tahun 2020, dunia mengalami globalisasi dalam rupa yang sama sekali berbeda. Globalisasi sebagai bencana, duka cita, sekaligus solidaritas. Ini adalah paradoks lain dari kisah globalisasi yang kedua, yaitu globalisasi pandemik. Hadirin yang saya muliakan, dengan cara yang belum pernah terjadi sebelumnya, COVID-19 bukan hanya telah mengkonfirmasi ulang, mengkonfigurasi ulang struktur transnasional, mobilitas, dan koneksi yang telah menjadi dasar bagi globalisasi pasca Perang Dingin. Pandemik secara mondial menghadapkan setiap orang di belahan dunia manapun dengan latar belakang kelas sosial apapun, agama dan bangsa yang berbeda-beda untuk berhadapan dengan bela sungkawa universal. Di dalam pandemik, baik turis maupun gelandangan sama-sama menghadapi risiko yang dihadapkan dengan keganasan virus yang mematikan. Dalam 3 tahun yang serba ganas, globalisasi ini mengalirkan pandemik sebagai pengalaman bersama, duka cita dari kematian yang sunyi, ruang-ruang isolasi. Tapi di saat yang sama ia juga membangkitkan militansi akal budi, sains, dan kerja keras semua bangsa untuk lolos menuju normal baru yang lebih berpengharapan di mana kita kini sekarang berada. Pandemik mengajarkan kita bahwa di dalam segala perbedaan, di atas demarkasi kelas sosial dan kekayaan, serta hierarki kesetaraan, baik yang terjadi antar negara dan antar manusia, semua common ground bagi kelanjutan kemanusiaan ternyata masih dimungkinkan. Di sini kita menemukan bahwa ternyata ada yang lebih solid dan krusial dari sekedar ekonomi, politik, atau batas dan teritori. Saya ingin meminjam perumpamaan dari seorang pemikir filsafat. Etika zaman pandemik ini dapat dirumuskan dalam satu kalimat pendek yang dipetik dari metafor Kristianitas, noli matengire, yang artinya jangan pegang aku. Jangan pegang aku apabila kau mengasihi aku. Disinilah jarak dipertahankan, justru dalam rangka memelihara keakraban sosial dan solidaritas. Pandemi memaksa orang untuk mengambil tindakan etis di mana keselamatan diri hanya bisa dipertahankan melalui keselamatan orang lain. Dengan itu, wabah yang mengerikan menghadirkan kegentaran tapi sekaligus menumbuhkan atmosfer etik mondial. Hadirin yang terhormat, globalisasi pandemik mengajarkan kita betapa berharga dan pentingnya sains dan ilmu kedokteran bersama-sama dengan kekuatan solidaritas dan kesukarelaan antar manusia. Sains menuntun kita keluar dari bencana, namun etika, solidaritas, dan kemanusiaan yang memelihara dan memperkuat pikiran dan kesehatan jiwa manusia selama dalam bencana. Dengan kata lain, bagi kita orang yang beriman, pandemik ini menghadirkan kengerian yang mencengangkan. Ia menakutkan, namun ia saat yang sama juga menunjukkan sisi-sisi kemuliaan manusia yang menandakan adanya cakrawala kebaikan yang transenden itu. Di titik inilah kita meyakini bahwa solidaritas manusia akan lebih merekah dan tumbuh apabila ia diatur oleh keserasian antara akal budi dan nilai-nilai yang baik, solidaritas, kebersamaan, dan kemanusiaan yang universal. Indonesia adalah bangsa yang tumbuh oleh tempaan sejarah, melintasi prahara demi prahara, termasuk prahara COVID-19. Mulai dari sejarah kolonialisme, pergerakan politik, otoritarianisme Orde Baru, dan kini demokrasi. Demokrasi telah memberikan Indonesia jalan terbaik bagi rakyat untuk berpartisipasi mempertahankan hak-hak dan kewajiban konstitusionalnya. Namun lebih dari itu, Indonesia juga adalah negara Pancasila, sebagaimana topik yang diberikan kepada saya. Sejarah Pancasila adalah sejarah nilai-nilai dan prinsip keutamaan. Tanggal 1 Juni 1945 di depan sidang Dokuritsu Zunbi Soyakai yang dalam bahasa Indonesia diterjemahkan menjadi Badan untuk Menyelidiki Usaha-usaha Persiapan Kemerdekaan atau disingkat BPUPK, Soekarno membacakan pemandangan umum mengenai bentuk negara Indonesia. Dalam pidatonya, Soekarno merumuskan 5 prinsip sebagai dasar dari Statsire Indonesia, yaitu yang pertama, kebangsaan Indonesia, kedua, internasionalisme atau perikemanusiaan, ketiga, mufakat atau demokrasi, keempat, kesejahteraan sosial, dan kelima, bertakwa kepada Tuhan Yang Maha Esa. Sejak disahkannya Pembukaan dan Batang Tubuh Undang-Undang Dasar 1945 dalam sidang Panitia Persiapan Kemerdekaan Indonesia tanggal 18 Agustus 1945, Pancasila ditetapkan sebagai dasar negara Republik Indonesia. 5 prinsip yang diajukan Soekarno itu sebagai dasar negara diubah dengan urutan sebagai berikut. Yang pertama, ketuhanan Yang Maha Esa. Kedua, kemanusiaan yang adil dan beradab. Ketiga, persatuan Indonesia. Keempat, kerakyatan yang dipimpin oleh hikmat kebijaksanaan dalam permusyawaratan perwakilan. Kelima, keadilan sosial bagi seluruh rakyat Indonesia. Ini adalah jalan damai dari keinginan sekaligus kebesaran hati kelompok Islam sebagai mayoritas dengan merelakan 7 kata yang sebelumnya menyertai sila ketuhanan yang Maha Esa untuk dihapus. 7 kata itu dengan kewajiban menjalankan syariat Islam bagi pemeluk-pemeluknya. Pilihan ini juga disebut sebagai upaya menyelamatkan Indonesia untuk tidak menjadi negara sekuler sebagaimana kekhawatiran kelompok nasionalis pada waktu itu. Pada momen itu dapat juga dilihat bagaimana Soekarno menempatkan dasar negara sekaligus sebagai sebuah filsafat dan ideologi. Dengan itu, Pancasila ditetapkan paling tidak untuk memenuhi 2 fungsi, yaitu yang pertama sebagai simbol mengukuhkan pendirian negara republik yang merdeka. Di sini Pancasila berfungsi praktis dalam arti ia sengaja dipilih untuk menjamin suatu kesatuan dan integrasi politik yang bernama Republik Indonesia. Dengan itu, Pancasila diposisikan sebagai visi bersama bagi pencapaian tujuan negara bangsa yang diperjuangkan oleh Pancasila. Yang kedua, Pancasila juga dikukuhkan sebagai wawasan politik atau dasar negara. Ini nampak dari konstruksi Soekarno yang secara eksplisit mengkomparasikan Pancasila secara setara dengan filsafat dan ideologi-ideologi lain seperti Marxisme, liberalisme, dan Sanminjui. Namun demikian, lepas dari retorika Soekarno, Pancasila bukanlah suatu ideologi politik partikular yang tertutup dan sistematis total sebagaimana Marxisme maupun liberalisme. Soekarno sendiri lebih menekankan fungsi implisit Pancasila sebagai sign of unity untuk republik yang merdeka. Dalam rumusan lain, Profesor Muhammad Hatta, Wakil Presiden pertama Republik Indonesia, sekaligus proklamator bersama Soekarno, mengatakan bahwa Pancasila mengandung 2 fundamen, yaitu fundamen moral, sila pertama dan kedua, dan fundamen politik, sila ketiga, keempat, dan kelima. Dengan itu, apabila kita tafsirkan dalam kerangka politik kewargaan, negara Pancasila dapat dipahami sebagai negara yang mendorong rakyatnya hidup berdasarkan prinsip-prinsip moral, berketuhanan dan berkemanusiaan, dan prinsip-prinsip politik menjaga persatuan, berdemokrasi, dan menjunjung keadilan sosial. Saya berkeyakinan bahwa prinsip-prinsip Pancasila bersifat by default dalam alam pikiran dan perilaku orang Indonesia. Ia menyediakan sarana retrospektif yang dibutuhkan, terutama di saat orang Indonesia secara kolektif menghadapi persoalan-persoalan besar yang dihadirkan oleh sejarah dan zamannya. Dari segi ini saya berpandangan bahwa sejauh ia hidup dalam perilaku kewargaan, maka Pancasila akan lebih tumbuh justru melalui mekanisme implisitnya, bukan melalui mekanisme eksplisit yang serba verbal. Pengalaman Indonesia di bawah Orde Baru menunjukkan bahwa eksplisitasi Pancasila yang berlebih-lebihan hanya membuat ia jauh dari hati sanubari rakyat. Sebaliknya, dorongan yang lebih nyata kepada solidaritas, kemanusiaan, rasa persatuan justru mendorong Pancasila merekah dalam tindakan. Pengalaman pandemi di Indonesia membuktikan ini secara gamblang. Tanpa partisipasi sukarela rakyat, tanpa solidaritas dan rasa persatuan, tanpa kemanusiaan dan kehendak untuk adil, rasanya sulit Indonesia bisa mengatasi krisis demi krisis serta globalisasi pandemi dengan baik. Hadirin yang saya hormati, akhirnya sebagai penutup, dengan menguraikan Pancasila dalam 2 kisah globalisasi itu, saya hanya ingin menekankan bahwa hal-hal material memang bisa menopang kemajuan, namun harapan-harapan terbaik umat manusia pada akhirnya hanya bisa dijamin dalam prinsip-prinsip bersama yang kokoh serta universal. Last but not least, I'd like to quote a statement from our first President, Soekarno, that we unite because we are strong, and we are stronger when we unite. This has the same spirit as an African proverb. If we want to walk fast, we walk alone. If we want to walk far, let's walk together. In my words, working together is much better than crawling alone. Thank you for your kind attention. Allahumma fiq langwi torik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great privilege and honor to introduce today's keynote speaker for this session. The keynote speaker for today is Professor Marianne Glendon of Harvard Law School in America. The title of her talk is The Quest for Shared Civilizational Values. Professor Glendon's bio is very long, and with great difficulty, we have shortened it, and I will read a few lines. Marianne Glendon is Learned Hand Professor of Law, Emerita at Harvard University, and a former U.S. Ambassador to the Holy See. She writes in the fields of human rights, comparative law, and political theory. Glendon chaired the U.S. State Department Commission on Unalienable Rights between 2019 and 2020, and served as a member of the Commission on International Religious Freedom between 2012 and 2016. And she is also the U.S. President's. She is also on the U.S. President's. Was also on the U.S. President's Council on Bioethics between 2001 and 2004. She received the National Humanities Medal in 2006. In 1991, she was elected to the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. She was president of the Pontifical Academy of Social Sciences from 2003 to 2013, and a member of the Board of Supervisors of the Institute of Religious Works, also known as the Vatican Bank, from 2013 to 2018. And she has also represented the Holy See at various conferences, including the 1995 UN Women's Conference in Beijing, where she headed the Vatican delegation. Please let us put our hands together and welcome Professor Marianne Glendon.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for that very kind introduction. When you get to be an old person, you have a long biography. Sorry. I have to begin by expressing great appreciation to the co-sponsors of this conference, Kai Haji Yahya Cholil Staquf and Sheikh Mohammed Al-Isa, a conference that is first of its kind, and I believe that it's not too soon to say that this is a landmark for the G20 to recognize the role of religion in geopolitical discourse. In fact, someday we might look back on this as a historic event, a kind of turning point that will always be associated with Indonesia and the philosophy of Pancasila. Not surprisingly, like any new idea, the idea of an R20 summit has caused a certain amount of puzzlement in some quarters. And so we hear questions like these. What's religion got to do with the aims of the G20 for global economic stability and sustainable growth? Or how can religion foster stability when it's so often been a divisive element? Or how can we even talk about shared values when there is so much cultural and religious diversity in the world? And all of those kinds of questions will be very much in the background of our panel's discussion today. Difficult topics are ahead of us. How to deal with historical grievances, how can universal principles be reconciled with cultural diversity, and how can one assure that religion will be a source of social harmony rather than a source of problems in years to come? Now, since I've been asked to offer a few thoughts about the challenge of identifying shared values, I'd like to propose examining that topic from 3 angles: looking around, looking back, and looking forward. And by looking around, I simply mean trying to take stock of the obstacles that confront any effort to identify and affirm shared values. By looking back, I mean asking if there's anything that we might learn from a similar effort that was undertaken 75 years ago in the early days of the United Nations. And by looking ahead, I mean asking ourselves what religious leaders and scholars can do to help assure that religion will help promote human flourishing rather than division and conflict. So when we look around, we don't have to look far to see that one of the greatest challenges ahead is the belief of many people, including many very influential people, that religion is outdated, obsolete, irrelevant, and even an obstacle to peace and social stability. What can we say to people who hold those beliefs? Of course, what we can say depends very much on what our interlocutor is able or willing to hear, but I would like to suggest that one way to get the attention of at least some international policymakers might be to point out to them that every single one of the goals of the G20, every one of its aspirations, is currently threatened by a grave environmental crisis. And no, I do not mean the well-known threats to our natural habitat. I'm speaking of another crisis that is less well recognized and entirely man-made. I'm speaking of a crisis in our social environments. And the signs of that crisis are all around us. They're in the fraying of the intricate webs of customs and understandings on which the success of every program, every policy ultimately depends. They're in the deterioration of the small structures of civil society where those customs and understandings are formed. And those small structures, families, schools, religious groups, other kinds of groups, those structures are the seedbeds, the nurseries of the qualities of character and competence that every healthy society requires in its citizens and statespersons. And it's at that very basic level that the world's great culture-forming religions have a vital role to play. Of particular relevance to the goals of the G20 is the fact that globalization, along with its many benefits, including bringing people closer together, globalization also has powerful effects on those little social environments. In fact, globalization has the potential to uproot cultures at a pace never seen before. As one longtime observer has pointed out, you can't build an emerging society if you are simultaneously destroying the cultural foundations that cement that society and give it the confidence and cohesion that it needs in order to confront and act properly with the world. And without a sustainable culture, there can be no sustainable globalization. Now, if that's correct, and I believe it is, it's hard to see how the benefits of globalization can be maximized without taking religion seriously. But in most discussions of international policy, we hear a great deal about the negative effects of religion and very little about the important ways in which the world's religions have contributed to the maintenance of healthy societies and cultures. Of course, religion isn't the only element to be considered, but it is such a major force that one cannot simply ignore it. And that is why the G20 was wise to take religion seriously. As Pope Francis once put it, humanity has been too slow to recognize that social environments, like natural environments, are at risk and need protection. And that's why our first topic this afternoon, the quest for shared civilizational values, this topic has acquired new urgency in our increasingly interdependent and yet conflict-ridden world. Interestingly, the last time that a multinational group paid attention to this question of shared values was many years ago, when the newly formed United Nations decided to respond to calls for some kind of international document involving human rights. And so as we approach the question of shared values today, it might be interesting to take just a brief look at what we might learn from that previous experience. Back then, the idea, this is right after World War II, the idea of shared values was considered ridiculous by the self-styled realists of the day and by many prominent anthropologists who were more interested in the differences among people than in what makes us all part of a human family. But fortunately for posterity, the UN decided to go ahead anyway, and the result was a historic political achievement. It was the approval of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948 without a single dissenting vote. And the UN in those days was already impressively multicultural, although, of course, imperfectly so, largely by not yet including the many countries that were still under colonial rule and in the global south. At the time, though, the commission that was assigned to draft the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was also impressively multicultural. And I'd just like to honor a few of the names of the leading members. China's Peng Chungjiang was not only a gifted diplomat, but a respected educator and philosopher. India's Hansa Mehta was a pioneering feminist and social activist. And she was the one who pressed for equality between men and women in the Universal Declaration. Chile's Hernan Santa Cruz was a great advocate for the social and economic rights. Lebanon's Charles Malik at the time was the chief spokesman for the Arab League in the early UN, all through the Palestinian crisis. French jurist René Cassin put the stylistic touches on the document, and American Eleanor Roosevelt was the chairperson. Now, the declaration itself was not a legally binding document, but what made it a historic achievement was that it was an official consensus that some things are so terrible that no one, or virtually no one, will openly approve them or admit they approve them. And some things are so good that virtually no one will openly oppose them or admit they oppose them. But today, that consensus is faltering. Memories of the terrible wars of the early part of the 20th century are fading, and the ethnic strife and conflicts that have followed, regional and ethnic strife and conflicts, have impaired the sense of a single human family. Some powerful countries are contesting the very idea of universal rights in the name of economics, national security, or economic necessity. Some Western groups are using the language of human rights to promote ideas that are not widely accepted in other parts of the world, and often not even in their own countries. The time seems right, therefore, for a new and even more broad-based effort to identify and affirm shared civilizational values. And as this R20 takes up that challenge, it might be helpful to recall two conclusions that were reached by the framers of the UDHR. One was that the number of principles that people of vastly different cultures will recognize as universal is relatively modest. Not everything can be a universal human right. And second, that universality of principles does not mean uniformity in their application. I think that is a point where it's a place where the world religions have something to teach international policymakers, especially the kind of policymakers that prefer top-down solutions to problems. The world's religions have always understood, better than international policymakers, that a common set of principles can be brought to life, and indeed can only be brought to life, in different societies in a legitimate variety of ways, so long as no core principle is completely ignored. But here's the problem. It's one thing to identify shared principles, and quite another to bring those principles to life in concrete situations. And that's the real challenge. Which brings us to looking forward, to the possible role of religions in promoting an international order grounded in shared civilizational values. There's no doubt that religious leaders will be essential to maximizing the beneficial effects of religion and countering its negative effects. But it must be admitted, and that's why we're all here at this particular session, it must be admitted that there are formidable obstacles to that effort. And one of them involves some business that a UN study group had to leave unfinished 75 years ago when this group of philosophers was asked by UNESCO to look into whether there really were any values that could be said to be universal. And they solicited the views of religious leaders and political figures around the world, and they reported, yes, there are some practical ideas about decent human conduct that are indeed widely shared. But then they added an important warning. They said, those practical ideas rest on principles that are somewhat different from place to place, different ideas about human nature and about nature itself. As one of the members of that UNESCO commission, the French philosopher Jacques Maritain said, yes, we agree on the rights so long as no one asks us why. So there's the challenge. So if the quest for shared values is to advance beyond where it was left back then, it will have to go beyond superficial agreement. It will require each tradition to look deeply into its own foundations. And like any other process of excavation, when you dig things up, sometimes there are uncomfortable discoveries. But that exercise can also lead to a fresh appreciation of deep truths that have long been obscured. Plato in the Republic gives us a wonderful analogy of a statue of the sea god Glaucus that was in the ocean for many years, and when they dredged it up, it was all crusted with shells and covered with seaweed, and it was only when all that debris was cleared away that you could see, as Plato tells us, the true and lasting features of the god. Now, something like that was experienced by the United States Commission on Unalienable Rights when we were asked in 2019 to see if the universal principles in the Universal Declaration could be grounded in our American political tradition. Our commission concluded that, yes, that was possible, but along the way, we had to confront some very uncomfortable, troubling aspects of our own country's history. And similarly, in the Roman Catholic religion, as Yahya pointed out in his speech, in the Roman Catholic religion, the Second Vatican Council had to confront historic injustices committed in the name of Christianity. Now, as if all those challenges weren't enough, here's another one for religious leaders and scholars. They will have to educate their followers to reject the use of religion as a pretext for violence. They'll have to reject ideologies that manipulate religion for political purposes. And much will depend on whether secularist leaders can free their followers from prejudice against religion and get them to accept that religious voices have a place in public deliberations. So all in all, I think we must admit that anyone who looks at our program for this R20 meeting would probably say it looks very ambitious. And that means that many people will probably dismiss it as unrealistic, as many dismissed the post-World War II Human Rights Project as unrealistic at that time. Yet, that project proved that ideals are real as earth and water. And it's worth remembering, it's worth remembering that the men and women who held those ideals were not naive in their idealism. They had lived through 2 world wars, severe economic crises. They had seen human beings at their best as well as at their worst, and they took encouragement from the fact that while human beings are capable of great evils, they are also capable of imagining that there are better ways to live. And they were capable of putting their ideals into declarations and constitutions. And they were capable of orienting their conduct toward the ideals that they themselves had embraced. There's a sculpture outside the UN building in New York City. Perhaps some of you have seen this remarkable sculpture. It captures something of that idealism tempered with realism. It's an enormous sphere of burnished bronze. It's beautiful. It suggests a globe. And, oh, there it is. There it is. If you look back there, you'll see it. It's an enormous sphere of burnished bronze. It suggests a globe, but it's cracked. And it's those imperfections cause the passerby to stop and wonder, is it cracked because it's defective? Is it cracked because of some terrible disaster? Or maybe it's cracked like an egg because something else has to emerge? And perhaps all of those things. But when you look into the cracks, you see that another brightly shining sphere is coming along, but that one is cracked too. Yet, there's a tremendous sense of potency, of dynamism, and of emergent possibilities. So I will close with this thought. Years from now, people not yet born will form opinions about our stewardship of the legacy that was handed down to us by men and women who were striving to bring standards of right out of the ashes of terrible wrongs. And someday, people who come after us will pass judgment on whether we enhanced or sustained that fragile inheritance. So let's take heart from the knowledge that this R20 shows that there are still many women and men in the world who are determined to make ideals real again. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Glendon, for that inspirational message and a call to action. Our next speaker is His Excellency Dr. Hamdan Musallam Al-Mazrouei, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Mohammed bin Zayed University for Humanities. His Excellency holds a PhD with distinction excellent honors specializing in advocacy and reckoning. From Imam Muhammad bin Saud University in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Dr. Hamdan has held many positions and chairs many boards of directors. His Excellency has been an advisor in the court of the Crown Prince of the UAE from 2014 until the present. Dr. Al-Mazrouei has also been honored by numerous local Arab and international bodies, most notably with the First-Class Medal of Science and Arts by the President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, and with the Rashid Award for Scientific Excellence. I welcome you, Your Excellency.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. أما بعد، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة والفضيلة، ضيوف قمة مجموعة تواصل الأديان المشاركة لمجموعة العشرين، الحضور الكريم، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. يسرني أن أعبر عن شكري وامتناني لكل من ساهم في هذا اللقاء، وأشكركم شكراً خاصاً على حسن ضيافتكم أهلي في أندونيسيا. شكراً لكم حكومة وشعباً على ضيافتكم لنا في هذه الأيام أثناء تواجدنا بينكم. كم أنا سعيد بهذا اللقاء، سعيد سعادة بالغة بأن أشارك في هذا المنتدى السنوي لقمة مجموعة تواصل الأديان المشاركة لمجموعة العشرين في موضوع بناء الجسور بين الشرق والغرب، ذلك من أجل ترسيخ القواعد الرصينة لنظام عالمي مؤسس على القيم الأخلاقية والروحية المشتركة، وبناء الصداقات المتينة بين جميع الأوطان والحضارات والأديان. هذه القمة الدينية ستكون بإذن الله منارة عالمية وفرصة سانحة يمكن من خلالها للقادة الدينيين في جميع أنحاء العالم أن يعبروا عن تطلعاتهم العملية لإسماع صوت العقل والأخلاق والتسامح والتعايش والأمن والسلام إلى أتباعهم وإلى كل من يثق في رأيهم. أيها السادة الحضور، النصوص المقدسة تصرح بأن مبدأ الخلق جميعاً واحد، ففي القرآن الكريم يقول الله تعالى تأكيداً على هذا المبدأ: هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة. كما جاء في القرآن الكريم في أكثر من آية يخاطب الله تعالى فيها البشر فيناديهم بقوله تعالى: يا بني آدم. والحقائق الكونية تؤكد تأكيداً جازماً للبشر على وحدة الأصل ومكان العيش في هذه الأرض، كما أن العناصر التي تتكون منها الأرض لها خصائص وسمات مختلفة، كذلك جاء اختلاف البشر في الطباع والألوان والثقافة والديانة لحكمة أرادها الله سبحانه وتعالى. أيها السادة، الناس اليوم يختلفون عن بعضهم البعض في أشياء كثيرة، وهذا الاختلاف لا يجب أن يكون سبباً للخلاف، فهناك اختلاف بين البشر وهذا أمر فطري لا يمكن لنا أن نغيره ولا أن نبدله، ولكن هناك اختلاف وهناك خلاف. فالاختلاف أمر فطري، ولكن الخلاف هو من صنع البشر، فهو موجود عند بعض البشر، وهذا الخلاف هو الذي يجب أن يصحح وأن يبدل من الخلاف إلى التوافق وإلى التعايش. فالله جلت قدرته قد فطر البشر على الاختلاف في المذاهب والآراء والعقائد، وهذا خلق الله تعالى، لا يمكن لأحد أن يغير ذلك، ولا سبيل لنا إلى جمع الكلمة إلا أن نغير من الخلاف إلى التوافق والتعايش والحوار الإيجابي والبحث عن المشتركات والتعايش معها، بل وتفعيلها والدعوة إليها، لا سيما في هذه الأيام التي نعيش نحن فيها على أرض هي أشبه ما تكون بالقرية الصغيرة، وهذه القرية الصغيرة يوما بعد يوم تصبح أصغر، وكذلك وسائل النقل أصبحت أسرع وأيسر وأسهل بين بني البشر. إخواني وأخواتي، سمعنا الكثير من المبادرات وحضرنا الكثير من المؤتمرات، ولكن دعوني أن أنتقل بكم من الحديث النظري إلى الواقع العملي، ودعوني أن أتشرف بأن أعرض على حضراتكم نموذجاً عملياً وليس نظرياً من دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة التي أتشرف بالانتساب إليها والتي أتيت إليكم منها. هذه الدولة تبعث من أرضها إلى العالم جميعاً برسالة التسامح والتعايش، وتعمل بجد وعزم لترسيخ هذه الثقافة باعتبارها قيمة إنسانية رفيعة، بل إن دولة الإمارات جعلت هذا الأمر روحاً لدستورها وقوانينها، وعلامة على حضارتها وأخلاقها وقيمها وعاداتها النبيلة. التسامح في دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة يمثل قيمة أصيلة وعادات نبيلة، فهذه القيم الفاضلة هي التي نشأت مع نشأة دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة التي أسسها الوالد المؤسس الشيخ زايد بن سلطان آل نهيان طيب الله ثراه، وسار على هذا الدرب صاحب السمو سيدي صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان رئيس الدولة حفظه الله، فهو رجل عظيم ترسخت فيه صفات التسامح والتعايش، وما يزال يجود بقلبه الإنساني وفكره العقلاني بالمبادرات الإنسانية والتشجيع على الحوارات الحضارية التي تعيد رونق احترام الأديان والمعتقدات إلى مكانها الصحيح، حتى غدت دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة قبلة للتسامح وعنوانا للسلام وصرحا للقيم والأخلاق، ومحطة لتلاقي العقلاء والحكماء وعلماء الفلاسفة ورجال الدين. فلا عجب أن تحتضن دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة في هذه الأيام على أرضها أكثر من 200 جنسية يعيشون بكل حب وود وتعايش وسلام وأمان. ولقد أطلقت دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة الكثير من المبادرات التي تعني من شأن التسامح وتجعله قيمة راسخة، وكان من أهمها وثيقة الأخوة الإنسانية التي كانت من أجل السلام العالمي والعيش المشترك، والتي تم توقيعها في العاصمة الإماراتية أبو ظبي برعاية كريمة من سيدي صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان رئيس الدولة حفظه الله، وبحضور شيخ الأزهر الدكتور أحمد الطيب وبابا الفاتيكان رئيس الكنيسة الكاثوليكية البابا فرانسيس في فبراير في عام 2019 ميلادياً. يعد توقيع هذه الوثيقة حدثاً تاريخياً في مسار التواصل بين الأديان، ونقلة فريدة في تاريخ الإنسانية يؤهلها للنهوض بالحوار إلى قيم التعارف، ويمكنها من خدمة الإنسان والأوطان وزرع بذور السلم ونشر ثقافة التسامح والوئام، ومد جسور الود والصداقة بين الشرق والغرب، وبناء مرحلة جديدة تقوم على التآخي الإنساني والاحترام المتبادل. كما أن دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة خصصت عاماً في 2019 ميلادي وأسمته عام التسامح، وكذلك قامت بتجريم التكفير وسب الأديان من خلال إصدار قانون، وهذا القانون سمي قانون التمييز والكراهية، وكان ذلك في عام 2015. ويعد هذا القانون مميزاً لحماية الأديان من العنصرية ومن الغلو والعنف والتطرف. كما قامت دولة الإمارات تحقيقاً لهذا المبدأ بإنشاء وزارة التسامح في عام 2016، وزارة في حكومة دولة الإمارات تسمى وزارة التسامح. نعم، في 2016 تعمل ضمن إطار مؤسسي وحكومي لترسيخ ثقافة التسامح والعمل على حماية التنوع ونبذ التعصب. كما أنشأت في عام 2014 ميلادي منتدى أبو ظبي للسلم، ومن أهم منجزات هذا المنتدى إطلاق إعلان المواطنة الشاملة، وهو إعلان يهدف إلى وضع تصور مؤصل للمواطنة في الدولة الوطنية. وأطلق المنتدى في عام 2018 مبادرة حلف الفضيلة في واشنطن، وهو حلف يضم قيادات دينية من بيت العائلة الإبراهيمية، وهو أيضاً نقلة نوعية في مسار الشراكة والتعاون بين أديان العائلة الإبراهيمية على ترسيخ قيم التعايش والتعارف والمحبة. وقامت دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة كذلك بتعزيز التسامح في مؤسساتها التعليمية من خلال إطلاق أول برنامج عالمي في تدريس طلاب الجامعات في مرحلة البكالوريوس والماجستير في المنطقة، يعنى بتخصص التسامح في جامعة محمد بن زايد للعلوم الإنسانية، والتي تتشرف بحمل اسم رجل الإنسانية والسلام سيدي صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان رئيس الدولة حفظه الله، وسدد على طريق الخير خطاه. كما أن دولة الإمارات أيها السادة تمد يد العون والمساعدة إلى دول العالم دون تمييز أو تفريق بين الناس في أديانهم وأعراقهم وأشكالهم، وتتصدر دول العالم في قيمة المساهمات في الجانب الإنساني. كل هذه نماذج على خطوات عملية لترسيخ مفهوم التسامح والتعايش. فأسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى التوفيق لهذا المؤتمر ولكل الجهود المخلصة لخدمة الإنسانية في جميع أنحاء العالم خدمة لبني آدم. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا، ربنا لا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به، ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم، والحمد لله رب العالمين، والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
His Excellency Andrés Pastrana. His Excellency Andrés Pastrana is the President of the Centrist Democrat International. He was also the former President of the Republic of Colombia. His talk today is entitled Western Humanism, Christian Democracy and Humanitarian Islam, an Alliance for the 21st Century. His Excellency Andrés Pastrana was President of the Republic of Colombia from 1998 until 2002. During his presidency, Mr. Pastrana made important steps in negotiations with FARC and ELN, terrorist groups. His administration also proposed and oversaw the implementation of the Plan Colombia and package and an narcoticized strategy. But he was a man of many accomplishments and achievements before becoming president. Mr. Pastrana graduated as a lawyer from the University of Rosario in Bogota. He was a fellow at the Harvard University Center for International Affairs. He was twice awarded with the King of Spain's Award for Journalism. Currently, His Excellency, Mr. Pastrana, is president, as I said, of the Centrist Democratic International, which is the world's largest network of political parties. Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. Excellencies, authorities, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Let me start my intervention by expressing on behalf of the Centrist Democrat International, the world's largest network of political parties which I have the honor to lead, our gratitude to the co-host of the G20 Religion Forum, the R20, Nilai-Nilai Ulama, and the Muslim World League for their kind invitation to participate in this significant event with our presence here today. We want to acknowledge the importance of the R20 Forum to promote the world's political and economic structure which share moral principles and spiritual values. Our gratitude also goes to President Joko Widodo, President of the world's largest Muslim majority democracy, for his undoubted support to recognize the R20 as an official G20 main event, thus providing a global platform through which diverse religious leaders and cultural figures from across the world may discuss their concerns and exchange ideas with politicians to find solutions to global problems traditionally considered to the concern of political elites. I would like to congratulate President Jokowi, as his people like to call him, for his leadership and clairvoyance, bringing these players into a new game board. It is indeed essential to the well-being of humanity that moral and ethical values weigh equally with economic and political considerations in shaping public policy. Today, as President Jokowi is making history again, like President Sukarno did in 1955 with the Bandung Conference, one of the most significant geopolitical events of the 20th century, with the R20, President Jokowi is offering an historic opportunity to revive the spirit of that conference and update its agenda to confront humanity's current challenges. And today, under his leadership, Indonesia is also making history again by hosting the R20 like it did before with the Bandung Conference. Indonesia, a country founded upon the Pancasila philosophy and home to the humanitarian Islam movement, which embodies the collective wisdom of the country's multi-religious, pluralistic, and multi-ethnic civilization, and the noble values of Islam, including Rahmah, the universal love and compassion, inspires a strong sense of unity and social harmony under the national motto, oneness amid diversity, an extraordinary example for the world. And talking about history, please allow me to share a little piece of it with you. The CDI origins date back to 1925, when political parties from Belgium, Germany, Italy, France, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Austria, Switzerland, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, Spain, Portugal, and Lithuania gathered for the first time to establish the International Secretariat of Democratic Parties of Christian Inspiration, SIPDIC for its acronym in French. All of them were behind the intellectual, philosophical, and spiritual origins of the post-war World Second International Order, and closely associated with the tradition of Western humanism and Christian democracy.
All of them share fundamental principles inspired by humanism, the dignity of people, personal freedoms, and human rights as later defined in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948. And all of them serve one common objective: the constant search for peace between human beings. The International Secretariat evolved to the Christian Democrat International, and later on to the current Centrist Democrat International, due to an increasing membership of non-Christian parties which share the same principles and values regardless of their religion's affiliation. Today, the CDI big family, with more than 100 political parties, which represent Christians, Muslims, Buddhists, Hindus, etc., from all different regions in the world, with one fundamental aim: promoting a rule-based international order founded upon universal ethics and humanitarian values to confront today's challenges. And it is precisely here where we intervene with the ultimate goal of the R20, as stated by our good friend Pakyaya, founding chairman of the G20 Religion Forum and general chairman of Nilai-Nilai Ulama. We hope to facilitate the merge of global movement, in which people of goodwill of every faith and nation will help bring the world's geopolitical and economic power structure into alignment with the highest moral and spiritual values for the sake of all humanity. The characteristic nature of the R20 as an unprecedented summit of high-level religious and political leaders will help address the current global challenges with a broader perspective, ensuring that religion can be a genuine and dynamic source of solutions rather than problems in the 21st century. And that comes at the time when we are still trying to deal with the terrible effects of the worst pandemic of our societies have known in modern times. For that reason, Indonesia G20 presidency chose the theme "Recover Together, Recover Stronger" in an effort to boost our collective ability to create inclusive and sustainable foundation for growth based on three pillars: global health architecture, sustainable energy transition, and digital transition. If you allow me, I would like to add the following: recover better. The quality of our recovery is instrumental to the success of such recovery, and this is the importance of the R20. The R20 can help promote rule-based international order founded upon universal ethics and humanitarian values at a time when see war in the European soil again, with a real possibility to further escalate into a multinational nuclear conflict which will trigger World War III. At a time when autocrats thrive all over the world, fostering the emergence of authoritarian civilizationist states that do not accept the rule-based post-World War II order, which has long served as the framework for international relations, including the greatest expansion of economic well-being in the history of humanity. At a time when narco-states expand their geographic scope and colonize new countries, especially including those under the umbrella of the Foro de Sao Paulo and the Grupo de Puebla in Latin America. At a time when people starve due to food shortages provoked by the wars and droughts, when families cannot pay energy prices, when natural disasters increase their frequency and destructive capacity. As these difficult times, we, political and religious leaders, must humbly admit our responsibility to this and further generations and realize that our actions today will shape the future of our children and grandchildren for good or for bad. In the CDI, we have been tirelessly working towards this goal. As the world's West-centered economic principle shifts towards Eurasia and geopolitical competition threatens to undermine peace and security throughout this vast landmass, widespread acknowledgement of and adherence to universal ethics and humanitarian values may help ensure that that transition can be navigated more peacefully. CDI and its extensive global network of allies are in a unique position to facilitate this process, for they embrace a common set of human and universal values, rooted in their respective religious and cultural traditions. These kindred traditions, which include but are not limited to Western humanism, Christian democracy, and humanitarian Islam, may serve as the foundation for a 21st century alliance to build a peaceful and prosperous global civilization. For all the above, the Centrist Democrat International invite peoples of goodwill of every faith and nation, as well as political parties and governments worldwide, to join us and the R20 Forum in this alliance to block the weaponization of religion, safeguard human dignity, and foster the emergence of a truly just and harmonious world order, founded upon the equal rights and dignity of every human being. Today, humanity is facing unprecedented threats, such as attacks on life, abortion, euthanasia, attacks on the family, gender ideology, and attacks on morality, relativism, and materialism. Only a joint effort among monotheist religions, ecumenism, such as the proposed by Pope St. John Paul II, will be able to overcome these threats. In spite of threats and difficulties, humanity always finds a way to overcome them, especially when it places its hopes in God, who always responds with overabundance to those who cry out for His divine intervention. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. It's wonderful how all the talks complement each other so well, as if it were divinely ordained. It is, after all, the Religion 20. The next speaker is M. Arshad Rashad, PM, who is the chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, or KADIN. And the title of his talk is Infusing Religious Values into the Realm of Business and Economics. M. Arshad PM is President and Director of Indica Energy, the Chairman of the Indonesia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and the host of the 2022 B20, or Business 20, which, like the R20, is an official G20 engagement group. Under his guidance, Indica Energy underwent an astonishing turnaround from losing millions of dollars to an increase in the company's assets by about 7 times within 6 years. He was elected as the chair of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry for the 2021 until 2026 period. Welcome, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Very good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Honorable guests, excellencies, and ladies and gentlemen. Today, I do believe history is being made as governments, religious institutions, civil society, and business actors have gathered to take concrete actions and fight against global challenges that affect everyone, regardless of race, religion, creed, or association. Before we move on, let me first introduce myself. My name is Arshad Rashid, and I'm the chairman of the Indonesian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the sole organizations mandated by the Indonesian law to represent the business community in Indonesia. And apart from that, we are also the host of the Business 20 Engagement Group of the G20. Today, I've been asked to speak on a topic that I really firmly believe in: how religious values are beneficial to spur inclusive economic growth. For religious believers, deep-rooted religious values are what move us, our core, our guiding principles of how we act and behave. It is more important now than ever to rely on and keep our values in check to address current global challenges. It's been 2 years since the pandemic began. Even though the Indonesian economy is recovering and growing at a rate of 5.4% in the second quarter of 2022, or this year, we still need to maintain vigilance as we are currently experiencing a fundamental shift in the global economy, as volatility, uncertainty, and climate crisis continue to worsen. To prepare for these challenges, Indonesia G20 presidency has come up with the 3 priorities issues to address, namely global healthcare architectures, the digital transformation, and also sustainable energy transition. However, the striving for these ideals come with its own problems. For example, the priority for health architectures strive for strengthen a global health system so the world is ready to face the next pandemic. However, in reality, as we saw during the last pandemic, vaccine inequity is a real threat to realizing this goal. The rich had more capital to expedite research, manufacturing, and rolling out of vaccines, while poor economies were lagging and were left to survive on their own. On digital transformation and sustainable energy transition are a double-edged sword. First, it has the ability to empower millions of people through technology, but on the other hand, it will erode the necessities for a lot of jobs that are going to be replaced by machinery and automation. McKinsey latest report states that 30% of the global workers could be displaced by automation by the year 2030. The same goes for energy transition. For those who are currently working for the lucrative, extractive fossil economy, the green transition will render their expertise and skill obsolete due to the green economy. To address these issues inclusively, we must infuse the world's political and economic power structures with moral, spiritual, and religious values. Upon looking at many religions, the common threads for all religion is that it teaches compassion and love to humankind. For example, the golden rule exists in all major world religions. Christianity, for the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command: love your neighbor as yourself. In Buddhism, whatever is disagreeable to yourself, do not unto others. Islam, none of you will believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. Confucianism, do not do others what you do not want them to do to you. Hinduism, this is the sum of duty. Do not unto others which would cause you pain if done to you. As diverse and multi-religious country, Indonesia has developed a system of economic development and empowerment that infuses religious values. Traditional values such as, in Indonesia we call it gotong royong, inclusive collaboration, and Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, unity in diversity, are the core values for Indonesia and Indonesians. This concept is unique to us, and we must hold to it for equitable and just economic development. These values should inform our policy making, and solidarity is at the heart of our life experiences. These values enable us to move away from a growth at all costs model to a leave no one behind model of the economy, and this acknowledging the just transition are indispensable tool in this shift. We are united in our affirmation that a move towards a sustainable future cannot be made at the expense of the poor and vulnerable. A just transition is thus about making sure that everyone affected can have their say. No one is left behind. By designing policies that do not introduce new hardship and deepen inequalities. To translate it to a global setting, I like to introduce the concept of 5 Ps. Peace, prosperity, people, planet, and partnership. An inclusive development framework. Peace, the prerequisite to any stability. Without peace, any other efforts are futile. Prosperity, this contributes to the realization of peace, putting an end to social and economic disparity, minimizes the chance for conflicts rooted in disparities and inequalities. People's development skills. The autonomy as individuals contribute to life satisfaction, economic development, and prosperity. Planet. Preservation of the planet ensures that longevity and health of the people. Partnership. Inclusive collaboration can expedite the global world in achieving all the other P's without leaving anyone behind. In this opportunity, I would like to ask this forum to first support and amplify the pressing need for global partnership and international solidarity. As the earth is one, but the world is not. Each country has shortcomings, especially emerging economies that run on limited resources. Efforts undertaken in isolation no longer work in the enormity and expense of the problems involved. Just transition requires a change of mindset in how decisions are made and how actions are taken to recover and rediscover the time-honored common values of humanity, such as solidarity, human dignity, social inclusivity, and economic equity, while striving towards an environmentally sustainable economy. The framework for a just and inclusive economy is there. Now, it is the duty of thought leaders and religious clerics to urge government leaders and their congregation to put it into practice. Now, you might ask the question, how to put all this aspiration into tangible programs? What are the paths forward? First, robust social protection systems, including public health and education, are needed to boost the economic and climate resilience of disadvantaged groups such as women, indigenous groups, migrants, and youth. Second, cross-border capacity building at many different levels. In addition to the expanded access to public education and vocational training, efforts should target institutions from research organizations and think tanks, where research and development should be fomented with sustainability in mind. To government bodies to strengthen the capacity to design, implement, and monitor just transition process or policies. Increase the frequency of North-South dialogues around the topic of global solidarity for a just transition to develop a cooperation framework in addressing the displacement as rich countries transition away from the fossil fuels. So the Global South can respond strategically to the impact of the transition. Financing for the development, the last but not least, which requires commitments from developed countries to support international development and climate financing in emerging economies. Lastly, I would like to say that the world needs more interfaith dialogue platforms, such as this R20. And we have to make this R20 as permanent forum of all G20s in the future. Why? It is because to realize inclusive economic growth and foster tolerance among religious devotees. Remember, the economy is not about metrics and valuations. It is about people's prosperity and the planet's continuity while maintaining world peace through forging global solidarity and partnership. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Chairman Rashid, for your powerful and practical talk. Our final speaker for this afternoon's panel is Professor Alberto Maloni. Professor Alberto Maloni is the Secretary of the Foundation for Religious Studies and UNESCO Chair on Religious Pluralism and Peace. Professor Maloni, as I said, holds the UNESCO Chair on Religion, Pluralism and Peace, and this is at the University of Bologna. He is also Chair of History of Christianity at Unimore in Italy. He is an Italian national with a PhD in Religious Studies. He is also the scientific coordinator of the EU. He is the founder of the European Academy of Religion and general editor of Corpus Christianorum. He is the member of the board of several journals, and he is also the chief scientific advisor of the European Union and has been since 2020. Welcome, Professor Maloni.
Thank you very much. Maybe I will. Okay. Di qua. Bene. Buonasera, grazie. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you to the government of Indonesia for hosting this R20. Last year from Bologna, we had handover with Pachiaya of this event, President Mario Draghi, the President of the Italian Presidency, the Patriarch Bartholomew, Professor Prodi, David Sassoli, the late President of the European Parliament, Ronald Lauder, the President of the World Jewish Congress, and 600 authorities made this handover, and you are happy to see that our hopes are fulfilled, and if the eye have been moved from the left to the right, becoming from if 20 and R20. I will speak as a historian, and so I will set my argument from this point of view. I'm not a religious leader, I'm not a leader, and if I be religious enough will be decided in the last day, and I hope in the mercy of God for that. Interfaith dialogue is a crucial part of diplomatic, academic, international agendas, with different genealogies and different goals. And it has become customary in the past 2 decades at least to use an argument concerning interfaith dialogue. It is an argument that peace is the true use of religion, violence is the abuse of religion. This is a truthful and noble approach controlled by public and growing consensus, thanks God, and capable to ensure a place to peace in our future. However, the historian must say that facts induce us to a certain prudence around that, because history is there to tell us that religious belief have an intact power of feeding violence or fostering peace. Of course, religion is not only the danger that humanity is facing. We know from the past experience that other ideologies has been part of the great danger, but religion are now in a crucial point, in a point that I call a religious climate change. We all know what is the climate change at the global level, but we also know that there is a change in the climate of religion. There is a global warming in temperature of religion. The ideology of purity, as President Macron called it in a recent strategic meeting in Rome, is feeding violent people and groups, and the cynicism using money to fund religious war here and there in the world is not decreasing but growing. there is an indicator of violence that we are studying, that is the violence perpetrated in the places of prayer. We started in Bologna and Palermo to work on this because there is a point that already impressed me in the Bible. This is Viligelmo in Modena 12:10. That is the murder of Cain and Abel. That is there to say to us that in front of the altar, fraternity and fratricide starts together. And so we know that in our past history we have something that calls us from a common mourning, that is not only the violence perpetrated in the name of God by the abusers, but mostly the violence perpetrated in the places of prayer. Since 9 October 82, the date of a Palestinian attack to a Roman synagogue in which a boy of 2 years old, Stefano Taché, was killed, up to now, we have counted more than 2,000 of crimes with dozens of thousands of victims, and these victims demand to us a common mourning in order to be recalled and remembered as part of the tragedy and the hope that we bring into the international arena. To fight against the religious climate change and its consequence, the world needs goodwill, good leaders, good politics, good meetings, and I think also good research. And in this good research, the interfaith attitude and the inter-religious dialogue are a proper tool with, as used in the past, two instruments. One is the idea of seeking what unites as opposed to what divides us. Is the approach of Immanuel Kant, the Zum ewige Frieden, and it has produced the idea that religion are called to find ethical foundation to shared values. But for the people who speak Latin, values is a very dangerous word, because value is the price in money that you have to pay for something you buy. And so I prefer virtue, but this is Latin paranoia if you want. The other approach that is less used, it represented by an idea of Simone Weil in 1941. Each religion alone is true. That is to say, that at the moment that we are thinking on it, we must bring as much attention to bear on as if it were nothing else. It is in the same way each landscape, each picture, each poem, each artwork is alone beautiful. A synthesis of religion implies a lower quality of attention. An higher quality of attention means so to find the way to go beyond what has been done. In the past decades of interfaith dialogue, we have seen that for many times the same first mile have been done, returning always to that starting point, repeating more or less the same argument. And so what we have to ask is, what is the second mile that goes beyond what we are doing? The second mile, from the point of view of the historian, is represented on one side of the very crowded market of interfaith dialogue. There is much room for delegitimizing violence, and this is a blessing, but the point is that there is something that can go beyond a peaceful and a peace-producing rhetoric. There is a joke that they use in some of the conferences like this, that is that to have a conference in which people say that true lions are vegetarians is useless. Lions are not vegetarians, and the people of faith, the human being, for those who have read Augustine, are not vegetarians, are dangerous. And so to curb violence, you don't need to say that true lions are vegetarian. You need to reflect on the theological basis, on a historical basis, on a political basis. So you have to take a responsibility. There is a ceremony in the this is Cain and Abel. Tiziana will go faster than expected. There is a ceremony in the rite of Shabbat that is named Avdallah. Is the moment separating the Shabbat from the profane time. It uses the same verb, separate, that is used in Genesis for the creation. In the creation, one of the separations that God makes is between the water below and the waters above. And there is an entire discussion in Talmudic wisdom and in patristic theology about what is keeping the waters above, and what is keeping the waters down. And they say, somebody says it is because they obey to the commandment of God, because they say that we're obliged to do this, and the other one says because God gave to them a responsibility. So what we have to work with is exactly this responsibility. We assume this responsibility at the end of one pandemic that we have identified, the pandemic of the COVID-19. But a prayer that was very common for my grandmother said, "A peste, fame et bello libera nos Domine." From the war, the famine, and the pestilence, free us, O Lord. So in Qoheleth there is something talking about the healing. And even President Biden quoted it in the address of the victory of his president, "A time to heal is coming." The problem is that in the Bible, the time to heal does not come after the time of pestilence. The time of heal, the time to heal, come after the time of killing. There is a time to kill and the time to heal. And so responsibility is to take very seriously what Cardinal Zuppi in Bologna calls the pandemic of war. What we have suggested is not, therefore, from Bologna to launch a campaign concerning values, but to launch a campaign concerning virtues. And we wrote a little parva carta that we delivered to the 20 leaders in the summit in Rome, a very short statement that is not based on the fact that we can find commonalities among commandments, but we will find commonalities about what we can engage with. Not you shall or you will, but we will. We will not kill each other, we will succor each other, we will forgive each other. Commitments that requires specific condition, but each potential may consider this as implementation. So what? 5 concluding sentences. If interreligious dialogue is the place in which religious leaders repeat a standard's opinion in their own words, it's destiny that this will be a useless effort. If theologies are asked to endorse the power of the most powerful ones, bringing their values among the other values, this will ignite rebellion. If religious pluralism is an easy sermon on fraternity to be kindly preached, it will never become a reality. If faith only serves to give motivational support to economic reasons that are at the core of the G20, this will become an empty effort. On the contrary, if faith and belief want to have a credibility that endures, they must adopt penance and truth, knowing that the Almighty knows everything on each of them, knows everything on each of us here, knows our intention. And what the historian knows is that the most powerful sermons, the most powerful prophets are the one who knows that he knows. They know the sincerity of the sincere one, the ideology of the ideological one, the superficiality of the superficial one, the hope for peace and the desire of unity in the human family. There is a sentence of Gregory the Great, Divina locia cum legenti crescunt, the word of God grows with the one who reads it, and I hope that the R20 will be a place in which we can read again the truth that has been revealed to us and offer to us a chance to assume our responsibility. Thank you.
and deepen our reflections on our theme of identifying and embracing shared civilizational values. And we are going to do that through a very profound voice from the land of India, from someone who embodies the highest spiritual and moral values, and someone, if I may say so, embodies the highest aspirations of the R20. This is because the individual I'm going to introduce combines in his very person the profound spirituality, a great depth of scholarship and analysis, and a heart of love and gentleness and compassion. It is my great honor to introduce His Holiness Swamiji Bhadresh Das. Swamiji is a great scholar of Sanskrit. I've also learned that he is a great scholar of logic, of philosophy, of epistemology in the Indian classical tradition. And he is also an ordained monk of the Boshasa Nanwasi Akshar Purushottam Swaminarayan Sanstha, or BAPS for short. In 2017, Swami Bhadresh Dasji completed the Swaminarayan Bhashyam, a 5-volume classical Sanskrit commentary on Hinduism's 3 canonical texts, the Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and the Brahma Sutras. As a great spiritual teacher and a profound scholar, he is the head of the BAPS Swaminarayan Research Institute at Akshardham in New Delhi, India. And I'm delighted to introduce and to invite to the stage Swami Bhadresh Das to deliver reflections on our theme of identifying and embracing shared spiritual values. Namaste, Swamiji. Welcome.
ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्च जगत्यां जगत् तेन त्यक्तेन भुञ्जिताः मा गृधः कस्य स्विद्धनम्. Everything and everyone within this entire creation is pervaded by the divine presence of God, our Creator. Rejoice in surrendering unto Him. It we all belong to Him. So covet not what is another's. Ishavasya Upanishad. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May we progress together. May we be nourished together. May we grow stronger together. May we excel together. May we never quarrel with one another. May there prevail peace, peace, and peace. Yajurveda. Om Aksharamaham Purushottamadaasosmi. May I attain the divine virtues of Akshar, the enlightened Guru, and serve Purushottama, God Supreme. Mahatah Anandasya Gauravasya cha Vishayoyam Yad iha Indonesia deshe Bali nagare Vinshati deshanam Shikhar Sammelane Sakala Vishwa Vidharana Prabhu Dharmopi Mahata Gauravena Sarva Jiva Hitabhahataya Vichar Vishaye Samupasthapitaha Samadhutascha Nunam Dharmanuraginam Dharma Marmagnanam Dharmanusthana Parayananam Dharma Parirakshana Dharma Pariposhana Dharma Parivardhana Pravananam Sarva Dharma Samadhutatmanam Dharma Marma Mimamsakanam Dharma Samvadashilanam Dharma Gaurava Vivardhana Tatparanam Vivida Dharma Dhurandharanam Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha Iti Uktim Anvartham Kurvananam Yato Dharmas Tato Jayaha Iti Dharma Vibhava Shraddha Vibhushitanam Tatra Bhavatam Charaneshu Vaidika Sanatana Dharma Kinkaroyam Sadhu Bhadresha Dasaha Pranamanjalim Samarpayati Sarvebhyo Namo Namaha. Let's reach out to extend the circle of global harmony. Respected divine souls of this blessed earth, fellow pilgrims of peace and seekers of truth, my humble greetings to the divine presence within each and every one of you. My special appreciation also to Kyai Haji Yahya Cholil Staquf, to Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Karim Alisa, and to the organizers for inviting me to address this esteemed summit. This R20 summit reminds me of the inspiring words spoken at the United Nations Millennium World Peace Summit in New York City. My Guru, His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, the fifth spiritual successor of Bhagwan Swaminarayan, and whose centennial birth anniversary is being celebrated this year. He shared a universal message for global peace and interfaith harmony. He said, at this hour in human history, we religious leaders should not dream of only one religion in the world, but dream a world where all religions are one and united. Unity in diversity is the lesson of life. This summit is another opportunity for celebrating such rich multi-religious diversity. Friends, I wish to elaborate upon the value of diversity through two analogies. Number one, imagine a garden, a beautiful garden with flora and fauna of every species, creating a kaleidoscopic landscape, rich in assorted colors, fragrances, and songs. Now imagine the whole world is a garden, a beautiful, diverse garden, where every faith, culture, and race blooms in symbiotic harmony with each other. Upon arriving here in Indonesia, especially at this summit, I feel as if I am pleasantly strolling through a beautiful garden of religious and cultural diversity, just as I was in India. How pertinent then is it that this summit is being hosted in Indonesia, whose very motto is Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, University in Diversity. Yes, friends, yes, we are different, yet we are one. One human race, one family, at one home. Just as the ancient Rig Veda proclaims, Yatra Vishwam Bhavati Ekanidam Ekam Sat Vipraha Bahuda Vadanti. A second analogy, imagine an orchestra, different instruments, different roles, different sounds, yet each one playing in perfect harmony with others, creating a wonderful, joyful symphony. This is the power of celebrating diversity. My dear friends, I draw your attention now to a universal definition of Dharma. When we delve deeper into each faith, we find such universal aspects that transcend gender and geography, race and rank. In Hinduism, Dharma has been a topic of profound discussion and contemplation for millennia. For example, the Purva Mimamsa Darshan, a school of thought dedicated to the philosophy of action, begins with Athato Dharma Jigyasa. Now, therefore, we inquire into Dharma. Vaisheshika Darshana, another school of classical Indian philosophy, begins similarly with Athato Dharmam Vyakhyasamaha. Now, therefore, we define Dharma. The very next aphorism offers a universal definition of Dharma. Yataha abhyudaya nishreyasa siddhihi sadharmaha. Dharma is that which elevates in this world and beyond. This is known as Sanatan Dharma or eternal Dharma. Such a universal Dharma for humans is rooted in universal human values, values such as peace, love, friendship, respect, and compassion. If we take each value in turn, peace in Hinduism is profusely exalted. Vedic prayers, such as the Shanti part, invoke universal peace across all aspects of creation. They often conclude with the calling, Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Love is also emphasized as a defining quality of religion. His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj used to say, Paraspar Priti Prasarave Te Dharma. True religion is that which fosters mutual love. Another invaluable value is friendship. We hear a song of universal friendship among the Yajurved chants. Mitrasya ma chakshusha sarvani bhutani samikshantam. Mitrasyaham chakshusha sarvani bhutani samikshe. Mitrasya chakshusha samiksha mahe. May I see all beings with an eye of friendship. May all beings see me with an eye of friendship. May we all see each other with an eye of friendship. Avoiding violence and hatred are also essential for resolving conflict peacefully and fostering religious harmony. In chapter 12, Srimad Bhagavad Gita illuminates, they who hate no one and are friendly, forgiving, and compassionate to everyone are true devotees of God. Adveshta sarvabhutanam maitraha karuna evacha. Bhagavan Swaminarayan also propounded dharma as a grounded in noble conduct and inspired a fellowship that live by such universal values. Friends, when empowered by these universal meanings and values of Dharma, we too will be able to truly serve our own faith as well as global family of faiths. Because then we are able to accept the existence of other faiths. Because then we are able to accept the existence of other faiths, accept them as they are, without needing to discriminate or disparage. Because then there can be mutual respect among faiths, respect of human dignity and spiritual integrity, without inciting hurt or hate. Because then we can learn from one another, learn all that is good and noble, without ourselves feeling inadequate or insecure. Interfaith harmony does not require that one relinquish or relax one's faith, but rather that we grow stronger within it. And as we grow stronger in our own faith in God, we become more accepting of His loving, all-pervading presence in others. I thus wholeheartedly thank and commend the organizers of this groundbreaking summit for affording us this valuable opportunity to dialogue freely with each other, to learn from one another, to grow closer together. Together we are stronger. Together we move faster. Together we climb higher. I believe such meetings, not just large and grand, but also small and simple, play an integral role in facilitating dialogue, samvada, and fostering harmony. When conducted with noble intentions, with love, courage, and humility, such sincere dialogue can yield priceless rewards. In Hinduism, dialogue, samvada, dialogue has been emphasized since Vedic times as a fundamental human virtue. Dialogue is a fundamental human virtue. The Rigveda sings, Sangachadvam, Samvadadvam, Samvo Manamsi Janatam. I regard these divine words as a universal hymn of harmony, which translated means, may we all progress together in harmony. May we all speak together in one voice. May all our minds be one in agreement. In conclusion, friends, I would like to say, let us celebrate religious diversity. Let us endeavor to understand the universality of religion. Let us become empowered by universal values of religion by loving love, respecting respect, befriending friendship, and learning to learn from each other. May we continue to convene and deepen our dialogue in the service of global religious harmony. I would like to end with the inspiring words of my Guru, His Holiness Mahanta Swami Maharaj, the sixth spiritual successor of Bhagwan Swaminarayan. He says, in the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, the whole world is one family. He says, in the spirit of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, let's reach out to extend the circle of global harmony. I repeat, let's reach out to extend the circle of global harmony. Bineka Tungalika, Bineka Tungalika, Om Shantihi, Shantihi, Shantihi. Thank you.
Let us welcome Archbishop Bashar Matiwarda, Glendon Catholic Church.